than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.
Hello everyone and welcome to another week of Live at the Bike, brought to you by the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles, California, the first and only webcast of real action cash game poker. My name's Bart Hansen. I'm here with Dave Tuckman. I did not play the Omaha tournament today, Dave. A couple of reasons, because the cash game I was in was really good. I was a little bit tired and I realized, well, if I play now and I make it deep, it's actually going to affect my play the rest of the week, cash game-wise. 2 to 3 a.m., a long session in tournaments. I'm not really all that interested in tournaments.
Right. And the way your tournament run's been going,
Well, I think that in terms of money per hour, it's a higher expected value in the 5-10 game than it is, say, in a 500 Omaha tournament, even if I were to win or place high.
Oh, of
overall.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Not even a question.
It's not even close. And what's the point if I'm trying to make money as opposed to World Series of Poker get like some sort of recognition?
Right. Obviously, this is not a televised event.
Yeah. So anyways, we're going to do 5-10 no limit tonight. Boston, who was going to cover for me, is playing in the game, kind of our third commentator now. And
I'm back.
Uncapped.
I'm not going anywhere, I promise. I'm here.
Yeah, you've been popping back and forth for a while, but you're here now, right?
I'm here. I'm here for good. I'm not going anywhere.
Let's get at it. Let's move over to the table and
Let's
start the action.
Seat number 1, we've got ASA. We call him Asa.
I don't know if he's ever been on the show before.
Well, he's from Norway. Flew in just for the game. And we like to call him Asa or Asa.
A fine Scandinavian lad.
Yep.
Although somebody told me that Norway isn't supposedly supposed to be Scandinavia. But anyways, go on.
Seat number 2, we've got Lance.
Yeah.
Lance has got those highlights kicking in.
Lance plays a lot of mixed games.
Yeah. Is that highlights, or is he just gone gray? No, it is highlights. It's clearly highlights. Okay. Seat number 3, we've got Tim. Tim's new to the game, isn't he?
Yes, he's actually from Louisiana. I played with him this afternoon. Pretty solid from what I saw.
Okay, good. Well, they grow him good out those parts. Seat number 4, we've got Andrew, kind of a little Chris Moneymaker lookalike.
Yeah, he's been on the show before. He's a lot of action.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Seat number 5, we've got Bill the Crocodile Man.
Yeah, I suppose
means nothing to me, but
Mo told me that this is a guy that wore a crocodile on his head and had a lot of airtime in one of the World Series events, or several of them. I don't recognize the guy.
Well, you get once in a while, you get people like that that are really just looking for attention. I actually heard there was some schmuck at the World Series main event who actually wore a proctologist uniform. What kind of idiot would do that?
Yeah.
Anyway, on to seat number 6, we got Dan. Seat number 7, we got John. Seat number 8, we got George, the Greek poker god, sporting the Adidas shirt. And seat number 9, we've got none other than Boston. I heard Boston did a really good job in the booth.
Hopefully Boston can represent us well here out in play.
He does not represent me.
No.
Actually, no, I'll take Boston's a good player. I like Boston a lot.
As always, you can email us at liveatthebike.com. Follow a live thread started on the internet by going to 2plus2.com. Spelled out. Forums, tournament poker, televised poker. Played 5-10 no limit. Yellow chips are $5 chips. Purples are 25s. Whites are 100s. John is going to open raise here to 40 with queens. Lance calls with queen 10 of clubs. And Tim is going to take one off here in the blind with 4-6 of hearts.
Nothing wrong with that, huh?
Jack 10 deuce here. Well, Lance has got middle pair. John's got the over pair. You wonder if Lance is going to get involved here. $75 bet here by John.
Not really the flop we're looking for with queen 10 of clubs, but he's going to take one off.
Yeah, he check calls here.
Pot's about $240.
Turns to 6. Now he picks up clubs. Could you ever come out and bet here if you were Lance?
Probably
what
you want to do. You don't really want to be checking and calling.
Yeah. You might check raise. If he was going to check, maybe you check raise here.
Maybe, but you're committing an awful lot of chips in case your opponent does have a big hand. Now, you got to realize, even if your opponent had aces here, you put him in a tough spot if you check raise.
Right, because you could have Jack 10, flop to set.
A lot of things you could have, obviously.
Yeah. And again, he just check calls, so this spot's close to $500. I gotta tell you, I think Lance should have shown some more aggression on that street, and the river's a 5. And now is it just going to go check?
Well,
or as John thinks he's going to bet a little bit more for value here.
Why not?
The funny thing is not a bad bet, especially if a lot of people typically would check down queens here. if you bet here, Lance might think you have ace-king, right?
Yeah, exactly, or king-queen, something
And
that
Lance
you've
just
missed.
folds. $275 bet there.
I like the bet. I mean, I think if your opponent had a set
Yeah.
or Jack-10, 2-pair being there, I think you're going to hear from him. I really like the bet by John.
And you-
5 of hearts changes nothing.
Yeah, kind of put him maybe on a weak jack, something, or a
why
jack,
not?
something like that. But you know what I'm saying, Dave? A lot when that pot starts to get big, a lot of people check down one pair at the river.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
So for that guy to bet that. Although Lance didn't even think twice about it, he just threw it away. I got to tell you, you were watching a free half-an-hour sample of Live at the Bike. If you want to watch the show in its entirety, all 3 hours, you can click on the upper left-hand corner of the screen, the on-demand banner, sign up for the archives, get you access not only to the whole live show, but to every show we've ever done. We were talking a lot about the October 12th, 2005 show, the one that Jamie Gold was on. We'll get to that in a second here. George is going to raise it up here with Pocket Kings. He makes it 80 to go.
Wow.
You didn't even know Jamie Gold was on the show, probably,
You know, it's
right?
funny. I've played with him a few times. I
Yeah.
assumed, I kind of wondered because he plays here at the bike
Well,
so
well,
often.
you weren't doing the show. It was
It was
Shirley.
you and Shirley,
so,
right?
Yeah.
What level game was
It
he
was a
playing?
5,000 game. 25, the 5,100.
It was a
game.
whale game.
Yep.
And how did he play? Did you go back and look at it? I got to
did.
check it out now.
We didn't know who he was. We thought he was playing a little bit. Well, I thought against one hand against safe, he was kind of playing a little bit scared, but he got all his money in with the best of it. King Jack on a Jack 8-9 board against Ed with Ace King, and Ed turned an ace and broke him.
Oh, God.
Typical.
And did Jamie leave after that?
Yeah, he left after that. But I kind of also brought up, because we got Pocket Kings over here again, this time for seat 3. I remember that night vividly, because it was the night that Shirley and I kind of got into an argument
Wait, you and Shirley got in an argument?
regarding Mark
Amazing.
Safe. And I got to tell you, Mark Safe played a hand. I looked back again and I wrote up about it. I thought he played a hand absolutely horribly. Now we have a raise here by Lance with Ace Queen. And Tim is just going to smooth call here with Kings.
Played a little cagey.
9-7-5 here with a couple clubs. Now remember, in the 3 to 5 game, oh wow, and he goes check. He does not bet out on that flop. And now the turn's a king, and now, well, Lance is not going to try to represent, and at some point you're going to have to put money in there if you're Tim.
You really wonder, though, I mean, how you play hands so passively if you're Lance? I mean, did you see Tim's cards?
Right.
I mean, so odd to raise in the cutoff seat with Ace Queen, get called,
Yeah.
and then just shut down, forget it. I missed, I'm done.
Yeah. What I was going to say was, I actually wrote up about it at the end of the October 12th fair. Somebody did a bump, I think it was Boston, and there were 3 or 4 very, very interesting hands in the last hour of that show. One of the craziest hands I've ever seen was actually against Vic Park versus Jonas. Deuce 5 against
I remember that
3-5 with a limp re-raise, and that happened. There was Ace King against Jamie Gold's Pocket 10s from Mark Safe. The hand that Jamie Gold got busted on, the Vic Park Jonas hand, and then the very odd hand I thought between Mark Safe and Allen. 3-way action here, limped around. Queen Jack 8 here with a couple of diamonds. King 6 of diamonds over here for George. Oh, he played that hand from up front, Dave. Limped in with it. He bets 25. And he's probably going to take it down. He does.
Take it down. Once again, we are live at the bike. I'm David Tuckman, back from Vegas. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here for a while now.
Tell them a story about how you came in on Saturday. Both David and I got knocked out, and it was such a great deal because there were only, 180 players in that kind of free roll on Saturday. You got to have a pretty nasty cut on your lip. Tell us a little bit about that.
I don't really want to.
Really? I think it's interesting. Look at that. You can see it.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I cut my lip on a cocktail glass.
That they
How
served
interesting
you
is
at
that?
Bellagio, right?
How interesting is that?
Like they served you a glass that was broken.
Andrew's got pocket queens, and you want to know how I cut my lip at the Bellagio?
How you didn't get any money out of them is more perplexing.
I got a $250 meal comp.
Oh, I didn't know it was that much.
Yeah, no, it was expensive.
Now Andrew's going to raise it up here.
Honestly, I didn't think it was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was just a small little cut. And like 2 days later, when it scabbed over, I was like, oh man.
Yeah. Andrew takes it down there with the raise with pocket queens. You know, supposedly on the World Series of Poker, they were saying that Jamie Gold hadn't been an agent in 5 years. He was playing professionally for 5 years.
Yeah, actually, David Kelsey's good friends with him, and I talked to Kelsey about it for a while. Kind of got the lowdown on Jamie Gold. Jamie Gold's been playing at the other casino. I've been playing in the 2040 game for about 2 years exclusively there, and beating him.
Yeah.
So, he's not a name pro, but he's about as good as it gets. I mean, when you're talking about a cash game player that plays full time, that beats a good 2040 game, you're talking about a really good player. He plays with some of the best that are out there.
You were talking about before the show about how there's a real good chance Kenneth James is going to be on the show this Wednesday, and then hopefully Locke next week.
Right.
And Locke must know him pretty well then, right? We got a raise here by Lance with 8-5 of clubs. And John is called here, looks like in the small blind with a king-jack offsuit. And Lance has got the best hand. He's hit a pair here.
65.
What? He bet 65, and he's going to take it down. Trouble there, a king-jack offsuit heads up out of it.
Really is. Definitely a trouble hand. Now, if you want to email us, we'd like to keep the show as interactive as possible. Email us at live@thebike.com.
Yeah.
Did you read them? Did you check them out? Kind of excited. Legends of Poker is going on. And you and I, neither one of us really played very many World Series events. But I am planning on playing a few Legends events. I'm looking at it already here. Now, today's event was Omaha High Low that you did not play in.
Yeah, I chose not to play in it.
Now, this weekend, actually, I'm thinking maybe... Actually, this weekend's actually kind of exciting. Do you know on Saturday, on August 19th, there's the Ladies Poker Party No Limit event, which is $100 plus 25 entry fee. The final table on Sunday will be on our Live at the Bike show.
I was going to talk about that in a second here with a programming note. It gets limped around. George Giorgio going to raise it up here to 100 with ace-king suited. It's 95 more here. Lance has got queen-jack of hearts. I don't know. I mean, these guys are kind of both deep, but actually Lance only has about maybe 1,500 there.
Yeah.
And if George raises it 100... Again, I don't... Queen-jack, a little bit different from a suited connector. I like to get 20 times on a suited connector, and your cards might not be live there either, so it's tough.
You got to definitely be a little scared there.
Yeah. Programming note. So on Sunday we're going to stream that live for everyone, not just archive subscribers. Everyone will get a chance to watch that. The winner of that, of course, will play. Of that tournament will be represented in the WPT Ladies Event show. And it seems like everyone that wins that or comes in second place gets famous.
Hey, why not?
So,
so it's kind of cool. So you can,
in lieu of us doing a show on Monday.
The following Monday.
So we're going to do that show on Sunday and not do a show on Monday.
So it's kind of cool. You can come down here, if you're a lady, obviously.
Yeah.
Play in the ladies' event. Be on our show on Sunday. And then be on the WPT.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 weeks later.
London Gallagher won it last year. Unfortunately for her, she was knocked out first. Limped around here 5 ways. It's interesting about that because there was a complaint that they addressed this year. Queen Jack 5 here. I think Lance is gone because I think they might be starting a 60 Omaha game now.
Oh, he's out of there.
Yeah.
Funny who I bumped into actually while I was in Vegas. My last day there, Friday. I bumped into Genocide and Vanessa Russo.
Again?
They both had about 19 bags of clothing in front of them.
Yeah.
They had just gone shopping. It was Genocide's birthday, actually.
Asa has bet here, and Andrew has called with King Jack, and Andrew actually has the best hand here. It's a $30 bet on the flop. Let's see what our Norwegian buddy can do here. He's going to continue to bet again. He bet 75.
There is a hierarchy there.
And before you finish that, I want to get to what I said at the beginning of the show.
Go ahead.
I always thought Norway, Finland, Sweden, and Denmark were playing part of Scandinavia. But someone wrote me a scathing email one day saying that Norway really isn't a part of Scandinavia.
How dare you?
It's not on the Scandinavian.
What the hell's wrong with you, Bart?
Anyways, go on with your Vanessa.
Oh, I was saying, I bumped into Russo
Yeah.
and Genocide.
Yeah.
They accused me of stalking them, even though they bumped into me.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was Genocide's birthday.
And how old is she? 25, 24?
I didn't know. I didn't ask her. I just said happy birthday to her.
Yeah.
But they were having a party at Tris that night, and they invited me to go.
Another party?
Well, it was her birthday party.
Yeah.
They invited me to go.
Did you go?
You know what? I got to tell you.
You were beat, right?
I was so ridiculously exhausted and getting over being sick. I was like, no, I was like, I can't come. I'm sorry, guys.
Was that like right before you were going to leave the next morning?
That was
right?
Friday.
Oh, yeah, and then...
And I had to catch like a 6 a.m. flight.
Got an email here from Emma Ward. Button moves over here to Boston in seat 9. This one's going to get chopped up. Or C1 actually. It looks like he raised it out of the. Yeah, he raised the 40. I think he bought the button, or he raised it in the small blind, took it down.
Get a nice email here from Emma Ward, producer over at the Poker Channel. Says, howdy to my boys at the bike. First of all, she goes, Bart, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Bart, how are you?
She mentioned me first.
Clearly. So, how are you doing, Bart?
I'm great.
There you go.
Great.
David, two things. One, what is with the horrific shirt? And I just want to let you know I wore this especially for you and Jonathan, but more for you. And secondly, yeah. Oh, and apparently she's drunk already. I tell you, these English people, all they do is drink. It's unbelievable.
It's not just English people, man. It's everybody in Europe. Are you kidding me?
It's unreal. I mean, I hung out with them for like 3.5 weeks. I drank more in 3.5 weeks than I did in the last 3 years.
John brought this one in for a raise with 8-10 of diamonds, and Boston called with 8-9 of clubs. Now, you always bring up the fact that that's your least favorite suited connector, right? 8-9 of clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, because...
Well, I don't really care the suit.
No, right, but if you're going to have a suited connector, sometimes people get in trouble if the board comes, say, Queen Jack 10, because, geez, what else can that make somebody?
Right, exactly.
If they're raising pre-flop. Obviously, you're dominated if Ace King comes.
Right, you've got to realize, if somebody raises, and I'm going to call a raise with a suited connector, because I think I'm going to beat him in a big pot, I want my opponent to have either Ace King, Aces, Kings, or Queens.
Right.
That way I pretty much know where they're at. Now, the problem is, obviously, if I call that raise with 8-9, and the flop does come out 10 Jack Queen, well, suddenly I can't beat Ace King. And if the guy has kings, well, he's open-ended also.
He also might flop a set, and if the board pairs, there's really nothing
exactly.
you can beat either.
Now, let's say I call that same raise with 4-5.
Right.
And I still flop the bottom end of it, and the flop comes out 6-7-8. Well, I'm more likely to be in really good shape there, because I guess my opponent could have 9-10, but I'm more apt to go to war with a hand like that.
We get a $60 raise here by Tim with pocket kings. Well, Dan's going he's got a couple of snowmen over there, pocket eights. He makes the call. Kevin had limped in with Jack 8. He's not in there. Well, Dan's definitely got a hand that might bust a big pair. Let's see how this one plays out. Well, Queen 9-3, all hearts. Now, Tim doesn't have a heart here. He does still have the overpair, and I would assume that this is a pretty easy check fold here. If you're Dan, if he's going to check, as opposed to maybe lead out there with pocket eights with the 8 of hearts, but he didn't lead out, so I think now it's a pretty easy check fold. As you can see, that Tim is about a 58% favorite to win this hand.
And that's one of the reasons why you don't really want to be in a check call mode. I mean, the first thing I tell beginning players, I go, you know what? If you're going to call, then bet. I just don't know very many winning players that are check callers, calling stations. Actually, I don't know any winning players that are calling stations.
Dan is out of there. Now, when you were in Vegas, did you hang around the final table and the main event? Like, what was the scene like there?
It was funny. I went to dinner. I wasn't really interested in going there right in the beginning because I knew it would be a complete zoo starting at 2 o'clock.
Could you even get into the room, though, okay? Because
I could get into the room because I had a media pass, but that was about it. But by about 4 o'clock or so, they were already done the 5 people. So I went there at about 7:30, 8 o'clock after dinner, and I hung out for about 4 hours. Actually, I may have been hanging out longer than that. I'm trying to think. Right after Rhett Butler got knocked out? Rhett Butler?
Yeah.
One person calls him Rhett, one person calls him Rhett.
I thought it was Rhett.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Well, that wasn't until like after 11 p.m. when Rhett Butler got knocked out.
Well, that's when I left.
Oh, okay.
I watched it go down to 4 people. It was interesting, You couldn't really see much, though, obviously.
Right. Watching poker live without hole cards and assistance is,
I mean, unless you have a real rooting interest, if I'm rooting you on, or if I'm rooting on like somebody that I'm really good friends with, hey.
Now, Tim brought this one in for 30 with deuce 4, and he does not make the continuation bet here. If he had bet, he would have taken it down because everybody else missed. Well, now Andrews hit top pair and seat 4 on the button. Deuce 4 checks again. Like you said, if you're going to raise with deuce 4 there, and you're going to see 2 people, and what is he setting a play up here? Because he is going to call. You've got to figure he's setting some sort of play up here. Oh, he is going to check raise. He makes the check raise here on the turn. He makes it 80 more.
I mean, you almost think this guy flopped quad jacks
Right.
the way he played it, didn't he? But it's so odd. But Andrew's going to throw it away.
Again, you wonder if someone can help us with Mr. Crocodile there in seat 5. Again, his name is Bill.
Bill
I'm really not
Crocodile.
familiar with the story.
Well, supposedly he's Australian.
Yeah.
Okay. Has he, like, killed a crocodile?
I don't know. I don't know if it was a real crocodile though he had on his head.
You don't know yet?
Yeah. Button moves over here to seat 5.
I mean, I will say I was kind of rooting on Jamie Gold, having been friends with Kelsey. And
Good.
Kelsey was like part of like Team Bodog by that point already, flying back and forth for Jamie.
Yeah.
At that point, I was kind of like, okay, I'll root for him too. Why not? I'll jump on your bandwagon.
Kevin's got pocket queens. We've had a lot of big pairs here so far. And he is going to raise it up.
I mean, I will say one thing about Jamie Gold's performance. They're calling it, and I have to agree, probably one of the most impressive and dominating performances in the World Series main event
Well, he was the
since
chip.
'97.
He was the chip leader for 4 days, right? I mean, it is pretty impressive.
He wasn't just a chip leader,
Yeah.
though. He was the chip leader by a lot.
Almost double the next guy.
I mean, he just...
Yeah.
And he never looked back.
Now,
Ever.
did you get a chance to interview him for the Poker Channel, or that wasn't part of your agenda?
No, I did not, actually. I think they did. They
yeah.
got a quick little snippet with him, but I
Yeah.
did not get a chance to. Kelsey was actually nice enough. He was going to try to set something up, but by the time we got around to it, you know, there were so many things that Jamie was dealing with, obviously.
Well, I assume, obviously, because of the close connection with Kelsey, and he's played on the show before, that he will be coming through here. We'll have him on the show.
Oh, I'm sure.
Maybe we can get him playing the game.
I have no doubt we can
Yeah.
get him on the show.
Limp here. Seat number 5 here. That's Bill. He's going to raise it up with 60. King Jack offsuit here.
50 more.
Going to make it 50 more. Now, seat 2's got Deuce 3 offsuit. Looks like he's wearing like a bowling jersey, huh?
That's what we gave for free, isn't it?
Kevin. Oh, that's right, the bicycle.
Isn't it Legends of Poker? Sure, they get free.
So he
Take
has,
one?
Yeah, he has called with Deuce 3 offsuit out of position, heads up. Oh, 10-9-9 here, not a terrible flop for King Jack. He is the pre-flop raiser and he has position.
You got to
But
realize
look at this now. Kevin's just going to lead right into it with nothing.
and he's probably going to win it. You got to realize when the board is paired like that, it's more likely that your opponent did not make a pair. And what is Bill doing
Mr.
here?
Crocodile's going to call. He does not have a club draw. Maybe he thinks he can represent. Pot's $400 now. Turns is 7.
Well, you know what? If you don't think your opponent, wow,
And Kevin's going to bet again. He bets 200 now. He bets half pot size bet here on the turn.
you know, and that's a tough spot. Though the problem here is, even if you put your opponent on a 10, and you don't think he has a 9 here, I don't know if seat number 2. I don't know if Kevin has enough money to get away
It
from
looks
it.
like he only has 150 more. Obviously, we know that if he was put all in now, he would fold. He
Right,
has
but how
3
can
high.
Bill know that though?
Yeah. So again, you look at it and you're like, you look at pawn odds. There really aren't any implied odds. If you say if you were to hit a queen and the guy had a 9.
No, Bill. I mean, the way Kevin has played this so strangely, but Bill can't call this. Even if Kevin had, say, ace high flush draw, you can't call.
Right.
See, they're saying that's all you have left there. There's no way you can get him off the hands.
It's a $600 pot. Yep, there he is. He's out of there.
I mean, I think Bill was calling on the flop to set up some sort of play, and then the ace in the river there wouldn't have
Changes
changed
nothing,
it. No. King high would have won it, but how does Bill know that?
Post up here on 2+2 by Pauper Boy. He says, Tuck, any updates on the Phil Gordon donation?
Yeah, I got to be honest. I got back in from Vegas at about 10 in the morning.
Right, you kind
They
of
lost my luggage.
You said you had a nightmarish trip back.
Well,
the
I mean, but-
security was hectic, right? Because of some of the stuff that went on
Right.
last week, right?
I had to get to McCarran's about 2 hours before the flight. Then they lost my luggage, so I had to sit at Burbank Airport for an extra 2 hours waiting for the luggage. Then I raced here to play in that tournament.
Yeah. You were looking real out of it.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
But I was aware enough to last longer than you and win another $100 from you. So I took Bart's $100, went home, and I literally woke up this morning.
Yeah, just didn't do anything on Sunday. I actually called you. I wanted to go to I went to the Dodgers game, Maddox versus Schmidt, which was like a nice little pitching duel. And you were like, no, I can't go. I'm
I was like,
tired.
I can't move. I was so tired, man. I was just ridiculously tired.
We got a raise here by seat 2. It's 100. Now, Dan's got ace, queen of diamonds, Dave. He only has 500 total, and he makes the 20% of his stack call. And the pre-flop raiser has the same hand as he does. So Dan puts in 20% of his stack here with ace, queen
And
suited.
you can see there's another queen in George's hand.
Yeah.
The likelihood is that this will miss everybody.
Heads up.
I tell you, it's got to be scary, though, if you're Kevin, that this guy called. It's almost like he might have a big pocket pair, and he knew the raise was big enough where he didn't need to re-raise. Wow, and there's the ace, and I got to figure that all the money's going to go in here.
No, this is the
Betting
obviously.
100.
And Dan's going to move in.
It's a $100 bet here. Well, the funny thing, though, for Kevin is if Dan moves in here, what can you beat? What would Dan would have called with? I mean, you almost
Ace
hope
jack.
you're just tying. Would Dan have called with ace jack $100?
Well, you wouldn't think so, but you never
And
know
now
in
he
this
pushes
game.
all in.
And I don't
wow,
think
and look at this. Kevin doesn't even think twice. I always
No, it's an
thought
instant
it
call.
He just makes an instant call. For me, there, I would hope I'm not up against ace king, but I don't think that even
Yeah,
crosses.
you're
the
giving
line.
these players a little too much credit, though, I think.
Well, Dan's got a backdoor diamond free roll, but the turn's a 5 of spades, and they're going to chop this one up.
What are you doing playing those cards?
Oftentimes we do give a little
Don't play
credit.
those cards.
Some of these players too much credit, Dave. And they are going to chop that one up.
But anyway, though, now that I've gotten some sleep,
Can I get one more?
I'm going to start sending them some emails. I've made a bunch of friends and a bunch of contacts while I was in Vegas. And I'm going to start following up. And Phil Gordon is definitely on my list.
Button moves over here to seat 8.
I'm sorry, that's just funny. Kev Math here. I am not going through the 2005 World Series of Poker tape again, but I'm sure it was some sort of stuffed animal crocodile.
Do you notice how Kev Math's name now is in green? Do you know what that means?
Ooh, he's the moderator.
Yeah, one of
Important.
the moderators. Yep.
One of the many.
Yep.
That's about
Yeah,
time.
Uncle Mike's in again.
God bust his ass for 2+2 for long enough.
Supposedly, though, that one of the other moderators, he was like one of the stricter ones over that forum. He used to ban people left and right
Yeah.
in the world.
Kev Math hasn't banned anybody
I
yet.
don't think so.
That's
No.
Yeah, no banning in our post at least, please. I hope not.
Maybe I'll post a torrent up.
Unless of course
Kev
they,
Math left.
unless they say
Doesn't
bad things
spend
about me.
5-player.
5-way action here. I don't even know what a torrent is, but I just thought it was funny. 10-10-9 here on the flop.
Well, Kevin and Dan both have 2 pair. Dan is a better kicker.
Kevin's going to come out and lead here. Now, again, you go through it and you wonder, well, would he lead with a 10? Dan is going to call.
Heads up.
The problem for Dan, though, is that even if the guy doesn't have a 10, Dave, what can he beat? He can't really beat a higher 9. The turn is a 6. Now if someone was betting 7-8, they would get there. He's going to bet 50, and Dan beats him into the pot here again. Well, you can see there's about a 50% chance this one's going to get chopped up. Dan is only about 50% to win here. And the river here is an ace.
And they will chop
and
it
they
up.
are going to chop it
Betting
up.
100.
And he's going to bet 100 now.
Both
Now,
players 10s and 9s with an ace kicker.
Kevin bet 50 on the flop, 50 on the turn. Now he's betting 100 on the river. And
I mean-
Dan basically knows he's probably putting his money in to chop unless the guy's on a, total bluff with Queen Jack maybe? Something like that? I mean, that's pretty much
I
it,
just don't
right?
understand exactly why you'd call a flop in the turn and then think about it really here. I mean, it's probably a pretty easy call here. I mean, unless you put your opponent on ace 10, I mean ace 9. But if your opponent had ace 9, why were you calling the flop in the turn anyway?
Right, right. I just don't see how you can possibly win this hand, but, you look at it and the pot is about, well, the pot's going to be about 350, 100 to call, but you're basically calling 100 to win 175, but you did put 100 into this pot, which kind of gets you in a hairy
Right,
spot
but you got to
anyways.
start thinking about it, though, and
And he
going,
lays it down.
I mean, why were you calling the flop in the turn then?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the laydown. There really is nothing wrong with that laydown. But why you'd call the turn bet? You need to make that decision one card earlier, okay? I mean, I got to tell you, if you bet into me on that flop, if I have any 9, I'm probably going to throw it away.
Oh, well,
Maybe I call one
yeah,
time.
but that's because you know me, and vice versa. If you were to bet that flop, I would fold too. But you don't know with some of these guys because you would never beat anything that I would bet out with the exception of Queen Jack with a 9, because I would bet a 10, And I might also bet a better 9 as well.
And you might bet a worse 9, but I mean,
Yeah.
do I really want to get mixed up with
Right.
9-8?
Right.
I mean, can I pick a better spot? John with Big Slick here.
Raise, make it 35 total.
Gonna make it 35 to go here.
Wow, look at that. That's terrible.
Now Boston is going to call here king queen offsuit, a trouble hand, Dave. Maybe he figured the raise really wasn't all that much, and he's got to be a good enough player where he's just not going to get involved that much if a king falls. But in this case, he really is dominated here. But I got to tell you, sometimes I don't really consider $30 a real raise. Sometimes I'll make that call with king queen.
He's on the
also
button. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah.
He's playing position here.
Here we go to the flop. Wow, and Kevin flops a flush here in seat 2 with 10-4 of hearts.
Now, John has got the king of hearts, though. Kevin's got to be careful.
And we get a set here. We get a set from Asa.
Uh-oh.
And Asa checks bottom set. Kevin checks the flush. And nobody puts any money in. John's got the king of hearts. The turn's a 10.
And that changes nothing.
And now Asa is going to come out and bet. You wonder if Asa was going to check raise the flop if Kevin had bet the flop, if more money would have gotten in
You wonder if
there.
another heart comes out, what happens then?
Yeah.
Gosh.
$150 bet here by Asa.
Amazing, John did not bite there with the ace-king with the king of hearts. He said, I'm going to take the card.
300 total.
And we got a raise here by Kevin to 300. And I got to tell you, if I have a set here that smells like a flop flush, I probably can call here. It's going to be, well, it's 225 more, so it's a math problem. Depending on how much money Kevin has, you probably know, well, if the board pairs, I'm good.
And you move all in.
If it doesn't pair, can I just check fold, though, on the river? That's the issue. And here we go to the river.
Heads up.
Asa needs the board to pair, and it does not pair. Now there's also a one-liner to straight. I got to tell you, if this guy puts money in the pot, I think it's an easy fold. But he calls it like it's nothing. It's a $300 bet, and he instantly called. And Ace is going to lose pretty big pot here. Because remember, Dave, now the 9 comes.
Yeah.
And now anyone would have a 7 with the straight. What can you beat if the guy
And
bets the river?
this guy didn't even hesitate.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like a hesitation there. It wasn't like the 9 scared him at all.
He could have also flopped a straight there as well. Something like
definitely.
7-9. I just think that with that card coming on the river and he bets again, no matter how almost smallish the bet is, I just think you have to fold. I know sets are hard to lay down, but a lot of times if you're dealing against a good player who might raise the turn with something like 2 pair and then check the river, if I check the set to him on the river and he checks behind me, I'm assuming my hand's probably good and I'm going to win it. But I can't make a check call there on the river.
No,
I
I
don't
don't
think if the board
think so.
pairs.
You've got to realize what you really said was correct was $30 raise pre-flop
Yeah.
is really like limped around.
Right.
And you don't want to go broke in a limped around pot because your opponent could have anything. Absolutely anything.
Well, Boston's got ace-queen here in seat 9.
So apparently Phil Gordon mentioned that a couple of people donated to his charity. Phil Helmuth, Paul Wysika. And David Tuckman was not mentioned.
Well, Paul was he had committed, I think, either 1 or 2% of whatever his
There
total
you go.
winnings were.
Oh, 1%, 6.1 million. There you go.
That's my water.
Oh,
So Boston raises it up here to 60. Is he playing kind of short over there, huh? Only started with about 500, is that right?
I didn't say fun over there.
Well, you know, Boston
I'm
was...
surprised in this game. Why not take advantage?
Well, because Boston was telling me, Dave, you know, Boston, he is not a professional poker player. He plays a lot. He is an actor. He kind of has a job over the weekend to supplement his acting income. And he said that he's had a couple of rough months where his poker bankroll has been somewhat depleted. Because I actually saw him playing the 3 to 5, so he's going to take a shot and buy probably in for the minimum in this game.
See, in a game this game is really weak. But
Pocket-
hey, you don't want to play over your head, though. If you're not comfortable
Right.
with the money in front of you, you won't play your A game.
Raise 20
Obviously, you
total.
want to make sure you're playing your best game.
Pocket aces here for the small blind. And Bill has raised it to 20 with a suited ace-7 of diamonds.
And Tim will not hit a set here. That we know for sure.
And I never understand the $20 raise here either. It's just... And obviously Tim is going to re-raise here.
Re-raise.
And you notice the physical tell of he announces the re-raise, he puts the $20 in there, then he goes back to the chips.
He's going to raise it up.
Usually suggests a lot of strength there.
Makes it 100 more to go.
Yes, sir.
All of the aces are dead here, by the way. Wow, is Bill going to call in now what is under the gun spot or next to act with ace-7 of diamonds? That is very loose, Dave. And if this gets heads up, which I think it will be,
Not me.
I mean, George is in there with deuce-4 of clubs. He's trying to figure out, is he deep enough, though? We don't have it up there on the screen. Deuce-4 of clubs there for George, but he's going to lay it down.
I'm surprised he didn't call that.
I check.
You check.
Heads up.
Now look at
wrong
this,
with laying
and
it down.
Tim is checked blind here. He checks blind to Bill. 10-5-6 here on the flop. He checked it blind.
I'll check.
And you know what? Bill's going to check right behind him. Maybe he can pick up an open-ended straight draw.
Well,
and
there you
there
go.
it is. The turn's in 8.
Betting 250.
It's a $250 bet here by Tim, and Bill beats him into the pot. You know, I had a hand like this I talked about in the video blog a couple episodes ago where I picked up a backdoor diamond draw when I checked the flop. Well, the river's at 3. Doesn't get there. And I believe that Tim has checked.
Two aces.
And it's just going to get checked down. Sometimes if you play a big pocket pair there and you check the flop and a guy, say, has a drawing hand like I called you with ace-king of diamonds or ace-king of hearts, I'm not going to bet that flop because I almost know what you're doing, you know?
Right.
I'm going to try to pick up a Broadway straight card on the turn or backdoor hearts, right?
Exactly. Hopefully pick up the jack of hearts there, the
Right,
queen of hearts, something
right.
like that.
And then you can almost call any bet on the turn.
Pretty much, yeah, especially if you're both deep enough.
And if the guy, say, like in my case, that example I gave, it had come out queen high and the guy had a set of queens and I knew it.
Right.
Because the
And
guy
that was,
might flop a set of 10s here.
That's about 6 weeks ago, video blog.
Yeah, I think it was before Vegas. Yeah, yeah.
Didn't do it.
The video blog, though, I'm not sure if
I was thinking of pushing it over.
someone can help me out here. Can you watch past episodes of the video blog?
I'll let it go. Didn't have anything in there.
25.
Yeah, I guess.
Raise, make it 25 total.
Alex goes on one.
Yeah, the video blog's kind of a weekly thing. But hopefully in the near future we'll have that up on the archives, all those past episodes. We've done a bunch of them. We've probably done maybe 10 now. Ace, deuce,
25.
Betting 25.
You got it.
ace, deuce, ace, hero, a couple of diamonds.
Well, it's been amazing how many, how far our show has come in just the last 16 months or so. Anybody that remembers our show last February, last March, and sees it today, sees where we've gone. And you can only expect, obviously, us to continue to grow.
And anybody who's interested, everyone that's obviously watching the show now is a subscriber. Jamie Gold was on the October 12th, 2005 episode of Live at the Bike. And that last hour was action-packed. Mark Safe was also on the episode. And I keep bringing up the fact that I want people to comment on the hand that Mark Safe played against That's Allen, because I thought
What's the limits now when you get
he
back?
played the hand about as bad as you could play a hand. You've got to go back and watch it if you
Well,
haven't
that's the
had a
one thing
chance.
that's great about poker is,
Yeah,
if you get 10 great poker players in a room,
Right.
they'll all disagree on.
absolutely. And I'm just
Not
putting
the
my
same thing.
opinion forward.
Right,
That's why I
exactly.
want someone, I'd love to have somebody defend how Safe played that hand, because maybe I'm missing something. Now, Kevin is raced up here with Queen Jack. Bill is called with 7.
More on that after this hand.
See what happens.
He's 3-3 here. Well, can Kevin make the continuation bet? You wonder if Mr. Crocodile will continue with 7s. Well, he's going at about 25 here. And there's Mel Judah. Get a shot at him.
I spent so much time with Mel in Vegas. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Turn is another ace. Well, that might make Bill stick around even more here, Dave. The only problem is you can't beat, like, say, pocket kings or queens here, though, right? And he's going to... He raises. And now this guy calls, and now you almost got to figure that your 7s can't be good, right? If this guy calls.
So odd.
And the river is a 9.
Another 100.
And now he's going to throw a $100 bet out here. But Mr. Crocodile makes the quick call.
Mr. Crocodile.
And I couldn't imagine how 7s would be good here, but they are, the way that the action went there in the hand. Very strange.
Ridiculous. Mike, what are you doing, buddy?
Email
I mean, his
here.
river bet almost screamed like I had a 3, though, Like a little blockish bet with a 3.
Email here from Jonathan Hauser. Says, hey, Tuck, did you have the nuts to ask Negreanu about Bart's $5,000 situation?
Actually, Negreanu and I had a great interview. We drove around on a limo for about an hour and a half, and we talked about everything.
Except
I just
that.
didn't think your situation was that interesting anymore.
Oh, really? Thanks.
It was like,
If you blocked me twice on national internet.
What was he going to say? He's by the way, he is so anti-Harris too. So all he's going to say is, yeah, Harris sucks.
No, I mean, you use your discretion if you were to ask him. I would have just wondered, in his opinion, if he thought the situation was the same, or if he thought, wow, that is something that they gave me my money back and not him. Whatever. I mean, like I said, I'm over it, so it doesn't make that much of a difference.
Right. I mean,
I'm not going to get my money back. So.
Can't you get 3 rolls for the $1?
Although I got to tell you, the only thing that continues to irritate me about that situation is people that come up to me and say, "Boy, I can't believe you didn't do more to try to get your money back." If I was in your case, I definitely would have got my money back. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? And the funny thing was, I mean, to be honest with you, I was working for the Poker Channel.
Yeah.
And I'm doing an interview at Negrano, and I didn't think it was really relevant.
No,
for
you have to ask him on the show, but
right.
maybe on it as an aside.
Yeah.
When you guys are off.
As an aside, he has like a 70-inch plasma TV. That is just insane.
Really? Did you meet his wife?
I did.
Yeah.
She's super cool.
Uncle Mike.
Very cool.
Nice Asian lady, right?
And he has a golden tee. Anybody know golden tee?
Oh yeah, he's
The
got.
arcade?
Oh, that's one of the best.
He has that in his house.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool.
Did you play it?
No,
Oh.
we jumped the thing, but I did play it in the bar later that night.
Yeah. This one's gonna get chopped around. He's probably like a big video gamer too, right?
He's
like,
a big kid.
Yeah.
He's just a big kid.
He's Canadian. He's a big Leafs fan, I think.
Yeah.
And
I haven't seen an episode of it.
did you talk some hockey with him?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
little.
Naked ladies of poker.
Talked a little about Toronto.
Wow.
A little about his move to Vegas, back and forth when he went broke a couple times. He basically took us on a tour of Vegas, Negrano style.
Yeah.
HBO.
Now, you guys had planned to ride in a helicopter, right? But instead you took a limo.
He vetoed it.
Sundays.
Really?
He didn't want to be in the helicopter.
Oh, really?
I don't know if he was scared of it or
Oh.
whatever. He just did not want to be in the helicopter. So
Yeah, I heard that wasn't a very good episode.
he's crazy though. He was actually going off to play golf. We did about a 2-hour interview in the middle of the day. He was going to play golf at 3 o'clock. It was like 109 degrees. And he's like, it's not hot.
Yeah.
I'm going to play golf. I was like, are you kidding?
You're from Canada, right? Well, Andrew just limped in here with jacks, and it's going to be limped around between him and the blinds. 10-9-4 all diamonds. Not a great flop for 2 black jacks, but you'd imagine he's going to bet if it gets checked to
I
him.
did not good in the tournaments.
He does bet.
Betting 25.
Bets 25. No one really has much here.
Uncle Mike has a mouth like you wouldn't believe, you guys.
Don't get me
And I assume that Andrew's going to win it here, and he does. Takes it down.
Nephew Kevin would be the name. Nephew Kevin.
You also went horseback riding with Ken and James. How did that go?
That was really cool. I got to tell you, have you ever been to Red Rock Canyon?
I
No.
bought these.
It's like 30 minutes away from the strip. It's unreal.
And you got yours.
It's like some cowboy movie. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize I was still in Vegas. It was very cool, actually. We went for about an hour and a half ride, and then had steak and beer, over like a fire and everything. It was really cool.
Now, originally you were planned to go shooting with him at a gun range, but instead you did that solo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did the gun range thing by myself.
You were shooting some fully automatic weapons.
I did a full machine gun. Shot myself in the lip. That's what happens when you take
The guy
a
taught
city
you
board.
how to do like little 3-round bursts with the fully automatic?
Yeah.
You can go through
I shot a
clip
Beretta.
real quick.
I shot a Beretta and then I shot the machine gun.
Oh.
I'll tell you, the Beretta was somewhat easy. I mean, I did that pretty well. I was able to target the machine gun though. That's difficult, really hard.
60 more to call.
Well, it's going to get limped around, and Tim's going to make it 60 more here with ace-jack offsuit. It's probably a pretty easy call here for George with these stack sizes.
Oh, screaming easy.
And the problem here for Tim, though, is once he gets called in a couple spots, boy, how do you play that hand out of position? It's really tough.
And Boston's really playing the short stack here. He's got to wait for a big hand.
Yeah.
Try to double up.
Oh, it's not even your turn.
Well, Asa's also going to call with the good old big leg suited. 69 of spades.
He's on the button, which makes it that much more powerful.
So here we go. It's over a $200 pot going 3 ways.
We talk about the power of position in this game.
Tim the pre-flop raiser.
You can't underestimate that.
And look at this, he flops trip aces. Now again, though, look at this, he's shaking his head. The funny thing about this hand, though, again, and George is going to bet 75. The funny thing about this hand is that I still don't necessarily know where I'm at with ace-jack, with ace-5 ace here. I mean, obviously there's a great chance you have the best hand, but this is what I always have a problem with ace-jack. It's top pair, or in this case, top trips. He just check calls.
Nothing wrong with that.
Turns a queen.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's gonna check here.
5.
George
And I gotta
checks.
tell you, I'm gonna bet the river, hoping George called me the weaker ace.
Oh, wow. And now he's making quads.
125.
And he's going to bet 125 here. Now, again, the problem for George, though, is what hand would this guy raise with out of the blind that you can beat? Because I mean, what would it be? Any other pocket pair he
King
has
Jack.
beats. King Jack, that's it, right? Not
That's
even
it.
King Queen suited.
I mean, you gotta really start manufacturing hands, though.
Yeah. There is, and George folds.
Gotta have an ace.
Which one?
Ace jack.
And he showed
And
he showed
Tim
a jack.
actually, it actually would not have, even if George had pocket kings there, it would not have been a jackpot.
Because there's a queen on board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tim would have had quad aces with a queen kicker. His jack would not have played. Both hole cards have to play.
The Jack, he's talking with a bad beat.
So once again here, Legends of Poker, if you are a girl, if you are female,
He had an ace.
a lady, a woman,
He would have 4 aces. He would have full aces. Full.
A,
He would have won the 50% part.
X chromosome.
X chromosome, thank you.
Bad beat right there.
Jack quick.
It would have been if somebody had ace king.
If you are,
XX chromosome.
come down to the bike.
What beat?
Cocktails start at 2:30 p.m. on Saturday, August 19th.
I said
Tournament starts at 4:15 p.m. No limit hold'em.
Raise 25.
And the final table on Sunday will be here at noon on Live at the Bike.
you had Jack.
But that's
At
about as
noontime.
close as you
At
get
noon.
without hitting it.
Oh, and I wanted to tell you something about that.
Go ahead.
Three aces
There
on
had
the
been
board.
complaints in the past because what they used to do is they used to do the tournament the night before the WPT thing, and the lady would be up until 5 a.m. and then she'd have to come back at 2 p.m. to do makeup. And obviously now they stagger it. King 9-3 here. Everybody's missed this flop. All Broadway cards. Now Andrew's got a gut shot to the 10. It gets checked around. Turns a 6.
25. Betting 25.
Now we got a $25 bet here by Kevin. Gets checked around to him. And George played the ace-queen pretty passively. I assume he's not going to get involved here. No, he's going to call. He has the best hand here with ace-queen high. And the river now is another king. And it looks like he's going to bet.
Betting 75.
He's going to bet 75 here.
Raising.
And Kevin is going to raise him. So kind of a little bluff bet here by George, and now Kevin raises. And you almost think that Kevin maybe flopped the set or something. And did George call? George made the quick call. What a call, and he's going to win it with ace-queen high.
Wow. Unreal.
Nice call, sir.
Well,
You know, it's funny. I really thought there for a second. I thought George thought he had the best hand.
yeah.
Which is why I really wasn't sure why were you betting it.
As opposed
why
to
not?
just check calling.
Well, why not check to induce the bluff?
Right.
I don't think he's gonna
But what do I know? I mean, hey, George bet it, induced the bluff raise,
Yeah, exactly, and called.
and called. Made the absolute most from it there.
We're going to take a look at the first chip count here in the night. Now, you were going to say something more on this Mark Safe Allen issue, and then you didn't. What do you remember? Yeah.
I'll tell you in a second.
11,200 total on the table. John, 2,200. George, 1,900. This is pretty typical. I mean, usually you've got half the table with over $1,000. Let's take a look at the differences. Kevin up quick $900.
Now he's got a hand,
Seat
right?
number 1 there, misplaying that hand with the set with the 3 flush down, a quick $700.
Reverse psychology there.
6 players.
6-way action here, limped around. It's a $60 pot. Again, we're playing 5-10 no limit.
Check it.
10-5-3 rainbow here on the flop.
Yeah, nobody's got much of anything here. I don't see a 10 out there.
Well, the turn is another 10. Looks like John might have the best hand here with 5-7.
You'd be correct here. Now, Kevin's got the 5 as well, but the 7 actually plays right now.
Oh, sorry. I see those cards.
Well, Asa there picks up a diamond draw, and he makes the call with a paired board. And Kevin overcalls with 4-5. That's really surprising.
Yeah, really surprising there.
And the river here is a deuce.
Wow, and look at
And
this.
the
And the
seven's gonna
seven's-
play.
yeah.
Seven's going to play here.
Amazing.
This one goes down to showdown. John's going to win this one. But it gets checked over to Asa, and it looks like he's going to put money in the pot. I'm going to tell you, it doesn't really
Into
make
two
a lot of
players.
sense. It doesn't really make a lot of sense for a guy to bet this river unless he was in there with something. Well, you know, maybe he had 4-6, Dave. I guess that's something.
There you go.
250.
He's going to bet 250 now, which is a little bit of an overbet on the river.
Bart's all tangled up here, like.
Better
okay?
not. Yeah, yeah. So he bets 250.
But it's going to work.
And these guys aren't just aren't going to get involved here.
Well, I want to hand it to Asa there, or Norwegian friend there. He didn't put out a little weak $60 bet trying to buy it.
No.
He put out a real bluff bet.
Yeah.
Really put some heat on his opponents, and by doing that, he takes it down.
Over bet. Uncle Mike's a pretty smart guy. I don't know if he was right about that one.
We had a crazy tournament here yesterday. It was the $200 no limit with multi-rebuys.
Oh.
There were like 600 entries with like 900 rebuys. First prize
That's
was over
insane.
100,000.
I really wanted to play in that event,
Yeah.
but I was just so tired, I said forget it.
I can't believe you and I didn't like make.
Right.
There were 180 people in that free roll tournament on Saturday. They gave away 8 main event seats, 8 $1,500 seats, and 8 $300 seats.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be
Plus
honest.
cash, plus a ton of cash. All the money went back in.
I'm surprised you didn't do better. I really am. I mean, honestly, I wasn't expecting much for myself. I got to tell you.
Jack 8-5 here with a couple hearts. Ace is going to bet 50.
You like that? Fun.
Time.
All the big names will be here the whole month. Apparently, Men the Master.
Well, Kevin calls Dave with ace-9. Maybe he's trying to pick up a heart draw here on the turn. Well, the turn's an 8. And he's way out in front here with ace-9. Well, actually, with the board pairing, he's going to...
Does Uncle Mike call that one a bluff?
It gets checked to him, and now he makes a little bit of a bluff bet.
Yeah,
at
take it down.
Takes it down.
Well, Kevin's one of those guys where if you give him enough rope, he's going to bluff at every pot if you let him. So apparently, 2005 Card Player of the Year, Men the Master, is in the house. Yeah, I got to tell you, I mean, obviously, I was disappointed that I did not win a seat, but I was not expecting much for myself.
Right.
I probably should have just...
Not even come.
Well, the funny thing is, once my baggage got lost,
Yeah.
I should have just taken that as a sign, going, no, go home, don't even bother. But then again, I wouldn't have won last longer against you.
Was it crazy? McCarran Airport, I hear that's now the busiest airport in the world. It used to be Atlanta Hartsfield, but now I think it's McCarran.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's better now, but it was insane on
Yeah.
Saturday.
Raise, make it 40.
My flight was at 7:55 in the morning. I got there
And that's on a
at 6.
Saturday, which is not usually a fly-out day in Vegas, right?
It's
I mean,
crazy. Lines are on the corner.
can you imagine Sunday afternoon?
Oh,
Let's make it 7.
Got a raise here by seat number 3, 8-10 off suit.
Yep.
Okay, I'll play.
We don't have a shot,
Just
buddy.
because we're buds.
Yeah, we're all real close over here.
We're just
on this side of
buds.
the table.
We don't have a shot. 3 player.
We're triplets. and
Asa
we're
here's got
different.
pocket deuces. Queen 7-5, rainbow.
And the Mazda.
and there he is, Men the Master, 2005 Card Player of the Year.
You can take the pick.
I think he lost some weight.
You can take one, sir.
I think it looks like he's shrunk.
That's somebody else. Uncle Mike's somebody.
I mean, I could have sworn he used to be 5'4", now he's like, what, 5'1"? Not a big man in stature, but a big man in other places.
Raise, 100 total.
Look at this. Asa has check-raised Kevin with deuces, and Kevin calls with king high.
Supposedly, I hear like he's, well, I won't even go there.
Turns a jack. Well, is Asa going to continue to probably think what he is bluffing at it, right? And he bets again.
And Kevin is, has Kevin played every hand, pretty much?
It's a $150 bet here on the turn. Kevin's got king 4. He called the check raise on the flop. You have to think he's planning on trying to set something up here further on.
Well, there's no pair, no draw. Okay, I'll wait.
Now he's out.
What are you wearing? Someone else's pants today?
Look at that. And Asa would have made a set of deuces on the river. That'd be great for him to back into that.
Have a happy seat. Just because I'm lucky.
I'll give you a happy seat. Those are the happy
I'm getting very soon.
Button moves over here to seat 6.
Hello. Unless I can knock someone out.
Maybe Men's going to come in the game.
Possibly. You never know.
Men's played on the show maybe 3 or 4 times before.
You know, if you watch the Live to Bike, if you watch our
Haven't
show.
really heard a lot of news about him this year in terms of tournament.
No, he had a quiet year so far after last year's dominating performance.
I had 2 pair of entries.
It's one thing about watching Live at the Bike, especially during the month of August. You never know who's going to show up.
Now, did Negrano tell you a lot of anti-Harris things on the air or off the air?
He did both.
Oh, yeah. So he's really upset with the way the World Series were on.
Oh, he thinks it's a joke.
Yeah. Just all the things.
Well, he thinks now he's like He's like winning a. So, you know, one of his proudest moments is the fact that he won the 2004 World Series of Poker Player of the Year.
Right.
Now he just doesn't think the World Series of Poker is that big a deal anymore. He goes, they give away bracelets like they're candy. You know, there's so many more tournaments now.
Yeah, I win a lot of bucks.
Cocktail! Hey, don't drink so much.
We're going to see three-way action here. We need to see seat 7's cards here.
Well, aces flop top pair.
King 10-9 there. Well, we got
Can't really be happy with that one.
and we got 10-9 over there. We got bottom 2 pair on this board here.
I mean, I gotta tell you,
for seat 7.
if I have King Jack here, and I don't have a club in my hand, I'm playing this hand really
And John
cautious.
just check calls. Maybe he's going to wait for a safe card here on the turn. Well, let's see if he leads now, Dave. I mean, does he think his hand is big enough where he's going to wait till the turn to check raise with 9-10 there?
I gotta tell you, 9-10, I'm gonna play this hand pretty cautiously here too.
Yeah.
You gotta realize how many cards come off that can scare you. A king, a queen, an 8, a club.
I was wondering if he was waiting the turn for a safe card and he was going to lead out on the turn. But Ace is going to bet 175 here. And here's the real question. Does John think he has a monster here, or is he playing the hand cautiously? And he just checked call, so maybe he is playing it cautiously.
I think it's all he can do with this hand. I don't think he can raise with this hand at all.
Here we go to the river. And the river's a 10. Well, now he's filled up. Now
you can probably
put
do
a
something
bet
with it, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I think you can put a bet in. You're only losing to pocket jacks or jack 10 offsuit. And he's got 500 here. And now Ace has got to look at it like, wow,
That's pretty big.
is this guy on a missed club draw?
Well, remember, there's a lot of draws out there.
Check called, and now he's over betting the river here.
A lot of draws out there.
I really like the way John's played this hand because you're making it look like maybe you missed here.
Well, he's played it as safe as he can without losing too much money in case his opponent had a big hand.
Now, he threw a gray $1,000 chip in there, and he announced 500. I don't know if we can get a shot of that, but sometimes we have big gray chips that enter this game.
I don't know. I'm not sure if our Norwegian friend is going to be able to get away from this.
Cape Cod Kamikaze.
Doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. He bet 500 into about a $450
Because
pot.
you start thinking, go, what did he call me with?
Right.
Think about it. If he had Jack 10, would he really play it that slow? Remember, there's clubs out there, there's draw out there. Would he play 9-10 that slow? A lot of people go, if you had 2 pair, you'd play it harder earlier.
How about Queen 10?
Yeah, that's it.
Queen 10, King 10?
Possibly.
And Ace is going to make the call, and he just couldn't put it together. And it was kind of a strange hand. And John's going to win
Well, the
over
thing is,
a
I mean,
$1,500
I got to
pot
say, I
there.
like the way John played the hand, though. He played it kind of conservatively, knowing that if he raises and he gets called, he's probably behind.
Yep.
Now, where's the big canyon at?
Fort Beach. I'm not a member. I don't live there, nor am I a member. My buddy was
Again, you can email us at live@thebike.com. Questions, comments, suggestions, always appreciated. We're already done with the first hour of the show. We got 2 hours left. We're playing 5-10 no limit hold'em. Yellow chips are $5 chips. Purples are 25s. Whites are 100s. Button moves over here to seat 7.
so I can hold by the green.
I'm Bart Hansen. I'm here with Dave Tuckman, back from Las Vegas.
Well, no, my buddy was a card boy, so he took me out there to play one time. We played with the greenskeeper and another card boy.
Raise 50 total.
Got an under-the-gun raise here by Asa
100 total.
with pocket 5s and a mini re-raise here by seat number 2. I think that's John with deuce 9 of hearts. Wow. Raise with 50, raise with pocket 5s. And Asa calls, so we're heads up here. Kevin the re-raiser here with 9 deuce. Asa with pocket 5s. Well, if Kevin can put a bet here in, I think it's a pretty easy. And he moves all in with the 9 deuce. Oh, wow. All in for $1,000 into a $200 pot. But pocket 5s were good. The board was actually ace, queen, jack, or ace, queen, king, I believe. Not that it made any difference, but
King Ace is good.
incredible.
I'm telling you guys.
What aggressive play there by Kevin. Button moves over here to seat 8. Giorgio. The Greek poker god, the English Greek poker god.
Time.
Former semi-pro football player. That's European football.
Raise 45 total.
And seat number 3 is going to raise it up here to 45 with king 9 offsuit. Seat 5 here, Mr. Crocodile calls with ace 9 of clubs.
Last time you Straight under the gun when you popped it up.
George is going to call a 4-5 offsuit over here on the button.
2 queens.
Well, hoping they come with queen. Orange, yeah.
And that brings Kevin in with 9-6 suited. And that's actually 10-6 suited.
Did anyone call?
No one.
Okay.
And we're going to see this 4 ways. A little under a $200 pot. 7-6-3 here. And Bill has flopped the nut flush draw with overcards in C5. Let's see how this one's going to play out. Now, Tim raised it with King 9 pre-flop. And it looks like he is going to make a continuation bet. He's going to bet 150, a little under the size of the pot. And let's see what Bill's going to do here with overs and the nut club draw. It's a $150 bet into a pot that was about 180. It's now 330, 150 for Bill to call. And George over there, and George has flopped a straight. Look at this. George flopped the straight with 5-4. And I assume he is going to raise. And here we go. He is going to raise it up right now. There's the 150. He has flopped the nuts. Called the raise with 4-5 offsuit because he was deep. And this is exactly what you want. And how much more is he going to make it? Pot's 500 now, plus this raise.
Raise 750 total.
He's going to make it 750 total. So it's 600 to call. So he's basically raised over the size of the pot here. The pot is now 1,100, 600 for Bill to call. And the funny thing here is Bill still might call. A lot of people might say, boy, that's a big raise there by George, but he's only raised about a pot size raise. $1,100 pot, 600 to call. He's flopped the nuts. Bill only has a flush draw here. Obviously, his overcards are no good. And he is thinking here. 600 more to call. Again, the pot is 1,100. Now, if you're Bill, what do you put George? What do you put the range of hands that George might have? Might he have a set? Might he flop the straight? If he flopped the straight or has a set, you're getting about 2-1 on the call. And what about the implied odds? If you hit a club, problem is that the club is always so obvious. If you hit the club, you know, you wonder if you're going to get any more money out of George, especially if George doesn't have a set here. Because if a club comes and George thinks the guy has a flush, George is drawing dead. He has no chance of improving.
Well, you've got to realize, especially if George has 2 pair, you've got to realize that your overcards here are no good.
Yeah, and he folds. George takes it down there.
And then it's just, when you realize that all it really is a naked flush draw, even though it is a nut flush draw, when you realize that, it becomes a much easier laydown. Unless you just feel like gambling. You never know.
Thank you, player. Good luck.
Some people just want to gamble. So tonight's the inauguration of the ESPN Monday Night Football.
Yes, I did.
Tony
I was
Kornheiser.
watching that out there, and it's interesting because so now do you consider Monday Night Football like, say, prior year Sunday Night Football, where Sunday Night Football really is the game of the week, where just like kind of Monday Night Football used to be.
Right, exactly.
But the strange thing is the reason why Monday Night Football changed to Sunday was because all the matchups were so horrible on Monday because they scheduled them prior to the season's start.
They had to.
Yeah.
They had no choice.
And what they used to do is people don't realize they had a rule where you had to have a 500 record to play on Monday Night Football the next year. Just happens to be that with the parity of the NFL, you can easily have a team that's 2-9 playing on Monday Night Football against a team that's 4-6.
Of course, one year a team is 10-6, the next year they're 4-12.
So they changed it to Sunday night so that they can have leeway and put the good game on, right?
Especially in a league where injuries are so prevalent, you've got to realize that one injury can make a team go from. I mean, let's look at the New England Patriots. If Tom Brady were to go down, they would go from Super Bowl contenders to probably not making the playoffs.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what happened with the Jets last year, right?
Well, and the Jets aren't even nearly as good, but of course, yeah.
Now, Bill has pocket kings here. Did he raise it in C5? He just called the straddle, so he did not get the
He was hoping
raise.
for a little... remember, he was in early position. He was hoping for a raise out back. Didn't get it.
Well,
but he's going to put out a little feeler bet, and that should be enough to take it down.
He is in position. Yeah, no one really has anything.
No, I mean... Kevin in there with a 410 offsuit. I mean, suited there, but no diamonds out there. He's thinking about making a move, though. But obviously, there's some flexibility when they can go, Okay, now you're normally playing at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Instead, we're going to make your game at 8 o'clock on Sunday.
Right.
And we'll take this 8 o'clock game and make it 4 o'clock. That's not a big deal.
Right. Or even if it's an earlier game, they can change it from 1 to 8. It doesn't make
Of course,
that much
right.
difference.
They can choose the best game.
Yeah.
Especially for the second half of the season. I'm assuming the first 6 or 7 of them are already scheduled. And they can't
Interesting to
change.
see, though, NBC back with football. It's been, what, almost 10 years
At
since
least, yeah.
NBC's had football?
So who's out now?
Playing back behind to Australia.
What? What do you mean, who's out?
Does CBS have the CBS still have the AFC?
Yeah, they have the AFC.
The Fox, and Fox has the
Right.
NFC.
I mean, the one that's out is ABC, even though they're
But
the
not
parent
really.
company of ESPN.
Right.
They're all owned by the same company.
Well, Disney owns it all.
Right. I mean, in this day and age, everybody has cable now, so, I mean, it makes no difference if you say, oh, ABC doesn't have football. Well, yeah, it's because it's on ESPN.
Right, exactly.
You know, it's...
We had a big head.
I mean, I gotta tell you, I'm glad though because I like ESPN's coverage of football, so it should make Monday night's game a little more interesting.
5-way action here, 10-4 deuce with a couple
Wow,
of
look at
cards.
this top and bottom here, 10 deuce. Oh no, he's not in the hands. Sorry.
We got the best.
Well, Kevin is going to come out and bet with middle pair with 4-6. He actually looks to be good here. I think that's the best hand.
It is. Somebody had 10 deuce, but don't remember who it was. Who was it?
Straight out there, too, huh?
Wow, is Boston setting up a play here? He's going to call. Let's see if he represents a heart, because he really doesn't have anything here.
The problem though is Boston has no money though.
Turns a 9. He had to be setting up a play here. Well, Kevin's going to bet 25, and boy, if you're going to set up a play, that smells like a little weakness. But does Boston have the cojones to do it, though? Like you said, he doesn't have any money, so you wonder.
Yeah.
It's not really optimal short strategy.
Well, oftentimes the biggest thing you can do when you're trying to make a move is not necessarily the raise, but it's the fear of a big bet on the next read as well. And when you don't have to fear that, it's oftentimes easier to make a big call. Now, in this case, Kevin didn't have much, so he might have been able to bluff him, but you never know.
I always looked at the Sunday night football game, though, Dave, when it was on ESPN. I actually liked the announcers. I actually like Paul McGuire. A lot of people give him shit.
Right. I like that as well.
But that game was kind of, even though it was a national game, it wasn't, I don't think it was really that watched. It wasn't really an important game, and that's what kind of what Monday night has become now.
Right. It kind of depended. You didn't know what.
I mean, I guess if it was a marquee matchup towards the end of the year, but they never had the restrictions on who was going to play.
For
it was
me, though,
random. You could always have two random
right.
teams playing.
What I liked, there was always a rule that every team has to be on TV at least once.
Right.
So if the crappy teams couldn't be on Monday night, well, then they're going to be on Sunday night. So, and I mean national TV. So either Sunday night game or Monday night game.
Live straddle here by Bill. He's got pocket eights. Just a mini raise here by
Dan
Kevin.
actually raised it.
Oh, Dan raised it to 40 with King Jack of Diamonds.
In first position, too.
And Kevin called with ace-7, and Bill's in there with 8s. Well, there's the king.
Jesus, scared the crap out of me.
And Dan is going to bet here.
How was that a heart attack? I swear
Is
to
that
God.
your cell phone?
No, it was Evelyn. Our producer's cell phone just went off, and I'd never heard a ringer like that in my life. I thought somebody kicked the door open and was like flailing like guns.
Dan has bet $200 into a $120 pot. I always wonder sometimes, Dave. We say, well, if you can leave this board up here, does Dan think he's betting the best hand here when he bets 200, or is he trying to get a better king out? And does betting 200 try to get a better king out?
He's not going to get a better king out.
Yeah, it's really
he has no money behind.
Yeah, it's really
He has to know that. Maybe he's trying to get hearts out, you know? He's got to know that he's not getting king, queen, or ace, king out there. There's no way. Not with that much money.
What time is your play?
No, I'm not sure what the value of over betting that is at all. Unless you're getting somebody with 7-8 out or something like that, you're getting a straight draw. But more often when you're playing No Limit Hold'em, you want to find the right price to kind of like trick your opponent to making the wrong call. Sometimes when you over bet pots or you move all in, you kind of force your opponent to play proper poker. You're forcing them to fold with a straight draw or a flush draw.
Rolled up. I'm rolled up. Chicken.
Limped around here 3 ways.
That didn't scare you at all. I swear, my freaking heart was ding ding. Oh, nice flop for Dan.
King, queen, and he checks it. 2 hearts out there.
Jack 10-3. He's
There's
open-ended.
the nuts now.
He's got the absolute nuts here.
$6
And he checked it again.
How can you fold for 50?
He checked it again.
Well, no need to ever build a pot here when you have the nuts.
Right. I mean, is there any reason why you think anyone might bet here with the 9 coming out?
It's
there, too?
unreal. I
Yeah.
mean, it's amazing.
And he check calls, Dave. He makes the check call.
How about a queen?
Well, the river's a 4. And he checks it again. And now he's, again, we always talk about he kind of looks like a genius because I assume he's going to check raise all in here. And the only reason why he's going to get this is because the guy in seat 3 had absolutely nothing. If he had a jack or a 10, he would have checked it right behind him.
If he had a 9, he checked behind him.
Yeah. And again, you talk about, Dan is probably going to remember this hand and think, oh, this is the way you're supposed to play this hand.
And I got to tell you, when I'm playing against guys like that, I love it.
Yeah.
Any big one?
And Dan is obviously posturing here, thinking, how much can I raise?
Pick one.
I'll show you this one.
I'll go all in.
All in?
And the guy folds. But again, Dan is lucky because
I showed the 8.
he would have checked maybe a weak jack, a weak 10, a weak 9 behind him.
I told you what you're going to do when you get you can't get cool.
He had to specifically have missed a draw and
Right.
be bluffing.
Right.
For that play to work that way. We just see it time and time again. If you want to make money in this game, you're going to make your money in 1 or 2 pots, 1 or 2 big pots,
Right.
and you've got to know how to build those pots.
I don't get it. I think he had.
Now, it is sometimes proper when you're on the short stack to play it a little bit cagey to get the most amount of money in.
I don't know.
But,
That's all he had.
again, I don't think that was really going through Dan's head. I think he would have played it like that if he had 3,000 behind. Right?
Yeah, you wonder there. You really want to get. I mean, you're hoping the guy's got a set.
Yeah.
You're hoping he's got a big hand.
We got a raise here by Asa with Jack 10.
Kind of funny here. Jive Dadson on 2+2. Sorry to interrupt you. There, he was responding to somebody saying, "I don't consider anyone in their mid-30s a kid when I call Daniel Negreanu a big kid."
Well, I think you're talking about Jamie Gold, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
Jive Dadson goes, "Give it a few years. I consider anyone under 45 to be a whippersnapper."
It's a great card.
Speaking of whippersnappers, we talked about the gentleman Nabil that collapsed at the stud high-low table almost a month ago now. They posted a letter that he wrote. He's still alive. He's
Oh,
doing
right. That's fabulous news. Really?
well. Yeah.
I can't believe he's still alive. That's great news. I was sure he was dead.
What?
The gentleman really looked. I mean, he looked like he was like, he had
On
one
his
foot.
last legs, yeah.
No, he looked like one foot was already like, beyond the pearly
Right,
gates.
right.
Uncle Mike says, get paid for what you do.
Oh, that's great news. Good
Well,
to
look at
hear.
this. We have a limp by George Georgian in a mini raise here. And George is actually not going to limp re-raise here. He's just going to call. Trying to kind of disguise his hand here. I don't necessarily mind that play that much.
I don't
Really
think so.
not that much money in there right now. Queen 5-9.
You're looking to play big pots in this game. You're looking to take down a lot of money. You want your opponents to make mistakes. You don't want to blow them out of the water pre-flop that
Right.
often because you can't make a lot of money. Now, Kevin's got over $1,000 in front of him. I want all of it. I don't want just 20.
And Kevin's going to bet 100 here. He actually flopped the best hand.
And he'll take it down.
And
George's
again,
gonna let him have
it's
it.
different if George limps. There's a bunch of limpers, and then somebody makes it 50. And now there's like 100 or 150 or 200 dead money.
Oh,
making limp
completely
re-raise.
different thing. Even if he made it 25, but 6 people called,
Right.
then you can do it a little different.
Right.
Panic, depressant. What is it?
You actually played in a hand with me where I limped in first position with ace-king. The guy right to my left made it $25 to go. 6 callers, and it came back to me with ace-king, and I looked to my left, the guy only had $500, and I go, okay, I don't mind, committing against $500 with ace-king here. So I re-raised it to like, what, $150, $200?
Right.
He called me with ace-queen. I had ace-king.
You moved in blind pretty much on the flop.
But pre-flop, once I saw that he only called me, I looked at it, I go, okay, the pot is $450 now once he called. And I'm going, is there any way I'm not going to see all 5 cards with ace-king here?
Right.
He only has $300 left, so I just put $300 in there. I don't think it's a bad play at all.
Now, Andrew has once again limped in with jacks. He's won off the cutoff, and it's limped around 4 ways. 10-6-3 here with a couple of diamonds. I don't necessarily mind the limp with jacks. He is in rather late position, but he's just got to realize that he can't take any heat on a flop like this. He can't build himself a pot up with this flop.
No, and there's nothing wrong. We see Phil Locke limping in with queens and jacks. We see a lot of good players do it all the time. But you have to be able to get away from big hands. You must be able to. Otherwise, you can't play it this way.
Versus VJ Singh at minus 185.
Yeah.
Andrew bets and he takes it down.
How do you understand all that?
Now, the only thing that I'll say, though, about limping in with big pocket pairs and only playing them really to hit a set like a small pocket pair is that inherently you're going to get less action on it because normally if you hit your top set, it's going to be the top card out there. And that means that someone else does not have at least top pair. That's why I don't think you can really limp in with aces and try to hit a set of aces because if an ace comes out, I don't see how you ever get paid off by anything.
You want to quote Doyle Brunson here when you say, if you want to win a big pot, big pots are raised pre-flop.
Yeah.
Rarely do you see a limp, okay, huge pot.
Right.
You got to build a big pot if you want to win a big pot. Once again, we are live at thebike.com. You can email us there. Would you like to respond to them?
Couldn't refuse.
I can't refuse. Just one time. I'm going to send you away with money.
I don't know. You might send me bread.
Now we had a raise here
Send you away with money.
by Bill with Queen 9, and Kevin's in there with a good old 9-4 of clubs. Kevin actually has the best hand here. You flop the pair of fours and it goes check, turns king. I can't believe you don't bet out there in position when you raise it pre-flop when a king appears on the flop. And now Kevin bets 75.
And Bill's got nothing here, and he's going to throw it away. Interesting email here from Shadow. He says, hey guys, long-time watcher and a new subscriber to live shows and archives. Really enjoy going back and watching the shows. I'm interested. I like a lot of your viewers, I mostly play 3 to 5, 200 or 300 max buy-in. You two guys have the most interesting and informative commentary I've seen. I wish you guys could replace the ones doing the World Series of Poker TV.
Losers.
Yeah, losers.
Losers.
Now, I got to wonder, now, the guys doing the World now, Norm Chad and Lon McCarron, are they actually Harris employees or ESPN employees?
I would assume they're ESPN employees.
Okay, then I'm okay with that. Because it'll be a cold day in hell when I work for Harris.
And you wonder, though, Oliver and Phil Gordon, were they getting paid by Harris or ESPN? It's going to be ESPN, right?
I would assume so.
One of them
ESPN, I have no
producing it.
ESPN, I think, is a class place. I love ESPN.
Now, Oliver, I was telling people on the show, I know
Harris?
Oliver, he's a very, very, he's an acquaintance. I know him. He knows me. We've talked a few times. I don't know him really that well. I think he did an okay job doing the, I don't know if you got to see any of the live pay-per-view event.
I unfortunately did not because I was there.
Yeah. Turn was a 4 of hearts here. He actually does the interviews on the floor during NBC Heads Up, or at least he did in the second
That's cool.
season.
Did a good job.
What do you stop it?
Now Ace is going to bet out here with Queen 4, Queen of Hearts and pair of fours.
Anyway, I'm going to get the rest of the Shadow's question here. Anyway, I was wondering if anyone has put up a list of dates you had when your special celebrities or pro players were in the booth or playing, so we can go to that date in the archives and watch.
Well, we're starting to really catalog everything. In Boston, funny enough, Boston's actually made a pretty detailed spreadsheet of, he's gone through at least half of the archived episodes. But actually, if you head over to the archives, and everyone watching this is an archived subscriber, you can click on the catalog, as opposed to clicking on the calendar on the right-hand side of your screen, click on catalog. And in a lot of the episodes, it gives a description under the notes column of who was on that show. And I think Evelyn is continuing to build a description of each, say, past episode and who's been on the show. And a lot of the ones with famous names are listed.
Right.
So you can check that out.
Do it.
So you can check that out.
Yeah.
Kind of explore it as you, any new subscribers, check it out. You know, when the show is over, kind of go back and look through the archives and kind of explore, because we're always kind of tweaking it, making it better for you.
Now, we had an open raise here by Bill, the 25 again. That's really kind of a garbage raise in this game. Seat 7 calls, and now George has raised it up 125 more. And Boston called Dave with 4 or 5 hearts. Did he move in? Did he buy more money?
He must have.
How much? Oh, he did buy more money. Okay, well, we don't know how much he has, but still.
I wonder how much he's behind.
He's got to be behind at least 1,200 to make that call, doesn't he? 125 cold?
How much is he behind?
He only had 800. And look at the flop for Bill. He was the pre-flop raiser, and Boston's flopped the flush draw.
Well, so does Bill. Look at this flop here.
Bill's open-ended with the flush draw.
Boston is almost drawing dead.
Remember, George is the pre-flop raiser. This pot is $600. It gets checked to Boston, and he moves in.
Oh my
and
God.
I'm surprised that Bill didn't make a bet there.
Wait a second. Now, Boston has moved all in. When Bill calls this, because you know Bill's going to call this, right? Kevin can't call this, right?
Why
Open-ended
did
straight
Bill
draw.
play this as a check? Was he going to check raise, George?
You wonder.
I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't bet there and add some fold equity to the play.
Well, some players don't like to bet their draws, you know? I mean, you got to understand that.
And look at this. Kevin is up and down. He's open-ended here, but as you can see, there are flush draws out there.
2 hearts out there.
And we're getting where Boston is moving in for 1175. So he did have about 1,300 at the start of the hand.
Oh, boy.
So I was wondering why he would call
It
$125.
checked to Boston. He opted to move all in.
Does
rather
this
than
smell
take,
like a big semi-bluff to you?
Rather than take the free card,
Yeah.
he has moved in at $1,175 into what is
$600 pot.
It's actually no. I mean, I got to tell you, if I had Ace Jack here
Yeah.
or something like that and it got checked to me, I'd probably move all in also.
Because it's not like you have any more left. Really.
What am I going to bet? 600
Right,
and
right.
let somebody think that they can get me off the hand?
Right.
But at this point here, I mean, I think it's an easy laydown for Kevin. I think if you're Bill, though, you have to call this and just hope your opponent doesn't have Ace King of Hearts or Ace Queen of Hearts. I think your draw is just too big.
Boston is really drawing slim. He's going to need a 4 or a 5. And look at this.
No, 5's no good.
Oh, you're right. A 5's no good. Well, John has 2 of the 5s. He needs a 4. He's got 3 outs. Is that right?
John?
If Boston gets heads up with Bill, he has 3 outs to win, right? To a 4 or some sort of running chop if no one has a pair.
he's in terrible shape.
Yeah. I mean, John is... Now, the funny thing here is with the overbet by Boston, John, usually you get at least 2 to 1 on a bet, because if a guy bets the pot, you get 2 to 1. Here, he's only getting about a little under 1.5 to 1.
Now, this is the only thing. If you think your opponent might have... It's an easy call for us, obviously. We see the cards.
Right.
But if you think your opponent has Ace King of Hearts, then what do you do?
Right. Oh, you're in trouble.
Because then you got to think, do I really want to call with just a naked straight draw?
Well, you got to start looking at it, too. If you think the guy's doing it with a heart draw, the chances are he's doing it with a higher heart draw than what you have.
Right, and there's no fold equity now.
You talk about game theory, you look at it, there are definitely more cards out there that are higher than 8-7. Sometimes you have to go through this when you flop a flush and you think somebody else has a flush.
Definitely. I mean, checking and calling with Bill's hand is a really tough spot. Now, I would no problem betting with Bill's hand.
And then Boston moves in, and then you almost feel a little more pot committed.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to call this, but it's not as easy a call as you and I it might look right away. You go, okay, come on, it's open-ended with a flush draw. Well, what do you think your opponents have, though?
Remember, the gross overbet, if you make a pot-sized bet, you get 2 to 1. Boston has bet twice the pot. So he needs to put in about $1,200 to win an $1,800 pot. He's only getting about 1.5 to 1 here.
I mean, this is a huge draw. And Bill has misplayed the hand, and he's put himself in a tough spot here.
Yeah.
Because he's misplayed his hand. And John is easily going to lay it down, and he's going to call this.
Oh, and Boston's in such bad shape here.
Boston needs a 4.
And only a 4.
Pretty much.
Or some sort of running paired boards to chop it.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, do you want to run it twice here? Once we get those folded cards out of there, I'd love to see
Yeah,
this.
look at it. Wait.
Like 85 to 10.
Wait. Shh.
Turn your hand over.
Hold on. Look. Boston goes, what do you got? And he turns over 7-8 of hearts, and can we get a shot at Boston's face there?
Oh, they say they're going to run it twice.
And they're going to run it twice because Boston's sick.
Oh, I got you in bad shape. I got you in bad shape.
I don't know what George is pissed off about, but turns a queen, rivers a heart, and Bill makes a higher flush. And look at this. Now this could be get chopped.
Oh!
Rivers a 4! And Boston gets lucky and he chops it up.
Oh, that's unreal.
Unbelievable. Wow.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
If he saw your hand,
And that's what happens when you start working for Live at the Bike.
he knew what you had.
Unbelievably lucky karma starts going your way.
Now the second run there, when the turn comes a jack,
By the way, everyone.
Bill is still playing jacks with a 9-8-7. Even if another overcard comes, like a king, it would be jacks with a king-9. He still would play, right?
They all go.
Bart, even if a 9 were to come on the river,
He would also play.
yeah, you
'cause
need
the 8
a
high.
6.
Yeah.
If a 6 came, even if a third jack came,
Right.
the 8 still plays.
So Boston was way behind on the turn there as well.
Oh, he couldn't have been in a worse spot there with 4 or 5
Yeah.
hearts.
Wow.
He got so lucky to get half that pot. It's ridiculous.
And actually, like I said, from the first time when we look at the percentages, there was actually only a 5% chance of that board coming as a chop.
Oh, yeah.
5%. Yeah.
It had to come specifically jack,
I was counting on the runner.
6 or
Right.
6 jack,
Right.
or it could have come 6-9 or 9-6.
Right, right.
That's it.
I'm surprised you took so long to call.
And they're all. See, that's the funny thing is everybody at the table's going, I can't believe you took so long to call. And none of them really realized. They just looked at blindly. They're playing their own hand, going, "Come on, you got a straight draw and a flush draw. How can you throw that away?" you got to start putting your opponents on a hand.
I did not
Okay?
call right off the bat.
If my
No, I mean,
opponent
like-
doesn't have, say, ace-jack or set, what might my opponent have? Might he have a bigger flush draw than
He
me?
was gonna at least call. I knew that guy was gonna call.
God almighty, what's up?
I got to tell you one thing that was really exciting and really kind of cool, hanging out with Baron Danger Toth down at the World Series. Very cool hanging with him as he was working for, help me out with the name of the website. What does he work for?
Gutshot.
Gutshot,
Yeah.
right.
No, I did.
Really cool guy.
Three-way action here. We had a raise by Asa with 8-9 of clubs. Interesting poster. I'm glad Jive Dadson's back on the board. I'll get to it in a second because he has some choice words for us. As usual.
Are you kidding me? I can't believe he actually wrote that.
Yeah, that's...
You got to be kidding me. I have to read this. You know what? I'm all about give me criticism,
Right,
criticize
right.
us. I have no problem with it.
2 minutes, what's the difference?
You got to be friggin' kidding me. Okay, he actually had the balls to write this. Dan reads his opponent as having nothing and provokes him into bluffing. So Dave and Bart come down and horribly misplaying the hand.
Uncle Mike says, going over.
Jive, are you kidding me? Dan, there's Dan right there.
You can get people.
Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely serious? That's what Dan was playing?
Dan thought that guy had nothing, so that's why he check raised the river.
Right. Well, that's why he
Give me a
checked.
break.
That's why he checked the flop with
Yeah,
his draw.
right.
He checked the turn when he made it, and then when he got there on the river, he decided, okay, well now I'm going to check it again.
Yeah.
That might have been his thinking on the river. I have no doubt there.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
That might have been his thinking on the river that this guy, maybe he's got nothing, and maybe I can get him to bluff at it one more time. Who knows? You got to be kidding me. Come on, man. I mean, give us all the shit you want to, and when we really go down the wrong road. But come on. Next, he'll be like defending Hitler.
I don't think it's quite the same.
It's the same thing, okay?
Not
Jesus
really. Dave was
Christ.
joking. I'll put a capsule there. Now Kevin raised it with Ace King.
Speaking of Hitler, you know, I watched an interesting episode of Band of Brothers last night
Yeah.
on the History Channel. I got to tell you, that show kind of bored the hell out of me.
Hey, man, have a safe trip, dude.
What, the history of...
No, Band of Brothers. You ever see that show?
I've never seen it, no.
Spielberg, I think Tom Hanks produced it, kind of about World War II. I don't know, I mean, I'm a real big World War II buff, but
Let's take a look at another chip count here. 12,450 total on the table.
anything to get me off of Hitler, huh?
Always sucks when you have it.
Let's take a look at the differences.
There we go. There it is. George up $1,000. George quietly up $1,000. Very impressive. Kevin up $500. Tim up $500. And our Norwegian friend Asa there, he's down $1,100. See if we can turn it around.
Still trying to wait for somebody from Norway to email us about that Scandinavia issue. Limped around here. Got a couple of emails. And we had a raise by seat number 2. He made it 25 to go. Kind of, again, a little of a plot sweetener with ace-5 offsuit. King 10-3 here. Now, again, I'm never a big fan of calling with King Queen, but Tim is on the button, and it is really not a raise that I consider much worth at all.
Well, this little $20, $25
Yeah.
raise is such a garbage raise.
And it gets checked to him. He bets 50. Now, George has got a gut shot. He's going to call.
George doing something that I
It's king and no good.
am very against
What's that?
at poker
check call?
tables. No, biting your fingernails
Oh,
while
wow.
you're playing with the chips.
Turns a deuce. And a $50 bet here again by Tim, and George calls again. And the river is a jack. And now if you're Tim, you're almost forced to check this one down because you can't beat King Jack, you can't beat King 10.
No, of course.
The only thing you really can beat there is King 9.
I'm actually surprised George is calling.
No, it went check.
I mean,
check,
that's what I mean. I'm surprised George isn't there at all, though. I mean, he really had nothing there.
Well, I mean, you can say one thing about George biting your nails, yeah, okay, but it's not anywhere near as bad as that guy TC,
Oh, man.
who's been on the show now a couple
He's
times.
so nasty, it's ridiculous.
Who bites his hands
Mike
and has
says
his
smile.
skin
Oh.
drop on the table.
God,
Yeah.
so disgusting.
Email here by Scott Glaze. He says, "Hey guys, love the show. First month of subscription. Do you think any of the local pros that play on the show try and change their game just for the show to advertise?" Thanks, Scott. You know, that's a very interesting question because there are different opinions about that. I mean, does this guy really play like this? Does he really call hands for these raises? Because a lot of times when you're playing off of this table, Dave, you don't get to see a lot of the things that are shown down that we get to see. You know, do you think that people change their game up when they play on the show?
You know, I think they might the first day or so. But I think if you've played long enough on this show, I think your true colors will eventually come out. I mean, I think as human beings, we all eventually revert back to what we are. And I think it's too difficult for players to play on this show, say 6 or 7 times, and every single time they're on the show, dunk it up for advertising purposes.
Now, see number 3 raises with pocket queens. He made it 30 to go. And look at this. Kevin's flop top 2, and he checks it. And now Andrew is going to bet. He bets 40.
You know, the most amazing thing is, how aggressive has Kevin been all night? 100, 200, 300. Now he's got top 2? Okay, I'm not going to bet.
And look at this. Boston's got the bottom end of a straight draw. He calls. Now, I assume Kevin is going to have to check raise with this connected board. Again, the board is 9-8-3 with a couple of spades. But once again, this will let a player like Tim, I think this is going to let him off the hook.
It should.
It's 200 more here. He's going to raise it 200. But look at this. Tim is going to instantly call. Oh, just 100 more, actually. It was just 100 more. I thought it was 200 more.
Now, Boston's got to be aware that might one of his opponents have a spade draw, and do I really want to go for it?
Yeah, and he makes the call. So it was just 100 more here, and this pot is quickly almost $500 here.
Now, obviously, the best card in the deck is a 5 here, red 5.
Turns a 4.
For Boston.
Well, Kevin still has top 2 here, and he checked it. And now Tim thinks he probably is the best hand, and he's going to bet 400.
Well,
here.
how many times have we seen players check raise the flush draw?
Right.
Or straight draw?
I don't necessarily know if I mind the bet here if you're Tim.
No. And I think it's an easy laydown for Kevin, for Boston here. I really do. At this point, you got to realize, okay.
I just go to point out, now this isn't quite the same as the hand with Dan. Now, did Kevin check raised him all in? Wow. He check raised him all in here. Oh, no, excuse me. He just called. I thought he said all in. And the river is a 10.
Ooh,
Boston
wow.
would have made it.
2 queens.
And it gets checked down. I don't know what Kevin was scared of there. With that board, what are you scared of with 8-9?
You wonder.
What check call the turn with 8-9?
I mean, it's a raised pot. Do you really think Tim has got, like, a set of 3s, I
And that
guess?
pot's about 13 or 1400. I thought he said all in. It would have made sense if he check raised the turn all in, wouldn't
Yeah,
it? That's why I
definitely.
thought he said all in. He just really kind of got into a kind of a defensive shell there.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to realize the texture of that board
In the end, I had nothing.
different than last time. Remember earlier in the night we saw Jack 10-9 out there, and we saw somebody with 10-9 playing it somewhat cautiously.
Yeah.
We've got to realize there are a lot of hands Jack 10-9, 10-9, bottom 2 can't beat.
Now, I don't mind the bet there by Tim, but you got to realize in some cases, now I probably would have bet. Some players might check the turn, especially in deep stack no limit, just because it's only queens. And then Boston then would have the best hand. He comes out and bets. And by Kevin playing it passively, by C2 checking the turn, he's given him, he's given the hand.
Yeah, I don't mind the way Tim played it. I got to tell you, Tim bets it there, doesn't want to give the free draw in case his opponent has,
No, but
say,
I'm saying by C2 checking the turn, it might get checked around.
No, definitely.
Against with one pair with an overpair.
But by Tim betting 400 there, he ensures that he does not give a free card,
Yeah.
and then he just checks on the river. Nothing wrong with that.
Queen, Jack, Jack here, limped around.
Dan is open-ended.
Turns a 7.
That's a known thing.
Still open-ended.
That's
Ace
really,
high,
that's
still
really
left
kind of
hand.
a garbage open-ended straight.
No, it really is, definitely. Paired board, 2 diamonds out there.
Yeah.
I also push only with my good hand. You never know.
And the river is an ace.
Should have done it that last time.
And Kevin has backed into a pair of aces. Is he going to bet some for value here? I probably would.
Are you kidding?
He's going to bet 100. Maybe you get a call from a 7 or a queen or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's actually over-betting the pot, kind of making it look like a steal.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to bite.
Email here from Dave in Philadelphia, who is Demon Deep on 2+2, who says, I know you guys have probably answered this before, but I was just wondering how you guys became props at the bike.
Sure.
Were you regulars at the casino, or did you apply for the position, or was it some other way? I think you and I actually both started playing the same game before we became props, and that was the only, say, 10-20 limit hold'em game around in LA, right?
Right.
Now, that game hasn't gone here for almost 2 years now.
Yeah,
But
really
it used to be a game that was pretty good because the collection was low. They used to give you $5 on the classic card for it per hour. It was 3 plus 0.
Yeah. No, it was a good game,
The
actually.
game was relatively juicy. Now, what killed it was when they did the $100,000 jackpot at the 816 level. That absolutely killed it. Plus, the 8-16 game sometimes played bigger, or oftentimes played bigger than the 10-20.
Right, the 10-20 game was nice, though, because it was a nice controlled game
Yeah.
where it was almost easy to make an easy, say, $25 an hour.
Yeah. Because the 8-16 game, remember, that's a 4-8 chip structure. 10-20 game was a 2-4 chip
Yeah.
structure.
Obviously, it just lends to
Yeah.
a smaller game.
Queen 8-3 here with a couple diamonds. We had a raise pre-flop, and I believe it was by Tim. And it goes check, check here. Tim does not follow through with the continuation bet.
It won.
And now Kevin, boy, that's a ballsy play because Tim raised it pre-flop, and then he took the card in the flop. Now the ace appears, and now you're Kevin. Now you bet out with the 8.
Right.
It's
You wonder if your opponent. Now, I mean, Tim could have had, say, pocket 9s,
Yeah.
pocket 10s, but he easily could have had ace jack, ace 10, ace king,
right.
taking the card.
Hey, do I have the cards or not?
Now, one thing I wanted to touch on that last hand there with the queens versus 9-8-3. The board was 9-8-3.
Yeah, dude.
Now, when I have top 2 in that board,
10,000
as
straight
opposed
over,
to
right?
bottom
I
2
have
with a jack 10-9 board, when I have top 2 there 9-8, what am I really losing to?
Well, I'm very, very confident that I think I have the best hand against a pre-flop racer.
Right, I
It's
mean,
not,
all-
like you said, it's not the texture of a Broadway board, but that example that you gave with, like, say, a Jack 10 on a Queen Jack 10 board. I mean, 8-9 on a 9-8-3 board, and the turn's a deuce, or it was a 4.
Right. I mean,
How do you not bet that turn after check raising the turn? I don't know what the purpose of the check call is.
yeah, you wonder. You really wonder. I mean, that's
mean-
the kind of flop I'm looking for with 9-8.
Remember, you look at the odds. What are the chances that guy has a set of 9s or 8s if you have 9-8?
No, and
It's next to nothing, right?
unless you think he raised with pocket 3s.
Right.
You know, and if you raise with pocket 3s, man, God bless you. Here's my money.
At top 2 against bottom set.
Hey, there you go. All the power to you.
Ace 10-6 here. Look at this. George has flopped top 2, and he comes out and bets right away. Now, Asa's got a pretty decent hand here. He's got a flush draw with that pair.
Now, in this one case, though, if you put your opponent on just like ace queen or ace
Right.
king, you can play the hand really strong because your pair, your 2-pair, your trips, they're all good.
But as we can see, his 2-pair is not good.
Right.
And we also see a 6 in John's hand. So he really has pretty much either just a flush draw as an out or the case 6 to improve here. Now, John's not going to overcall a bet by George and call in the middle here, is he, with 6-4?
Yes, he is.
Wow. And he is drawing even slimmer. Actually, he's pretty much drawing dead because the 6 comes, he's out kicked. The 4 is no good. And there's a spade draw. I don't even know how he can possibly even win the hand. Well, he actually has King Jack. Kevin, excuse me. And then that made more sense. I was a little bit confused. Kevin called with King Jack.
Well, he can catch a queen,
Yeah, that's
but
why
it
he
can't be a
called.
spade.
Right. George is going to bet 200 here. Now, aceless hand becomes a lot less valuable with a guy behind him who's called, and he also has not improved here on the turn.
Yeah, well, now you've got to start thinking, okay, maybe my flush draw is no good. Maybe somebody behind me has bigger flush cards.
Wow, look at that. That cocktail waiter just tapped him in the middle of the hand.
Yeah,
I think she might be a little bit of a newbie. And she full.
Guys, I'm gonna play short.
little things like that, obviously,
Yeah.
that anybody new to a casino does not know.
Right. I think sometimes
Somebody's
it
in
takes
a hand,
cocktail
leave 'em
waitresses
alone.
for a while. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you insult me like this.
Maria used to be really good with that. Remember Maria, the tall Russian girl that used to work?
Where is she?
She actually left. She does not work here anymore.
What happened to her?
Not exactly sure.
No story?
Housewives on the table. Did I mention that?
So George has bet 200 here, and again, Kevin is drawing just to a queen here. I mean, what is he going to try to represent if he raises here? You know there's no straight out there. The only thing that you lose to is a set of 6s. I can tell you with George's hand, again, I might be confident to maybe commit a lot of chips here with ace-10 because I think maybe he has ace-9 if he were to raise the turn here.
There's no way I'm going anywhere with ace-10 here. No
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
If he has 7-8, man, God bless you. You called me the gut shot there.
7-8 or maybe flopped a set of 6s.
Hey,
Right.
once again, God
Yeah.
bless you. So apparently Jive Dadson says, hey, what kind of argument is, oh, come on, are you kidding? Unfortunately, Jive, we do not have time to argue on a full-fledged basis here. Although, like I always say, we love your criticism. I love anybody's criticism. I have no
The
problem
only
with
thing
it.
I'm going to say about that is that you cannot make a living in no limit by checking the river to try to check raise someone. I just
See, the different thing is, if there was like a bet on the turn,
yeah.
and the guy called you, and then you checked the river thinking that he missed his draw.
Right.
That would have been different. But he checked the flop, checked the turn.
Check called the turn. I mean,
What happens if the guy actually had a big hand?
well, no, but he got checked around on the flop, then he checked the turn. The guy could easily bet with something like second or third pair, and then just check the river down. I mean,
that's
the way
almost
that
like-
hand played out, there's no way you can make a check raise on the river. It happened to be in this case that the guy had nothing and Dan looked like to be a genius, but we're trying to make it look, we're trying to do a show that's not result oriented.
Right,
Not
exactly.
just we can see the cards, you know? And that's why we're criticizing the play. Obviously, he won the most
100%.
money by playing that way.
Actually, you wonder though if he check raised or actually bet the turn, and he bet a legitimate amount on the turn, he might have gotten called because Tim there actually had an open-ended straight draw.
8-7-7.
Yeah,
and then-
he had a double gut shot, I
Right,
think.
and then on the river, when a blank comes up, then maybe you do check it, thinking
Yeah.
your opponent missed the draw.
Now, we have a bet out here by Kevin. $25 bet here.
75.
Well, I'm not exactly sure if I like the way what Tim is doing here, Dave, if you look at this hand. He limped in with tens. You've got an early position better. You raise with three people after you. And Kevin calls. Well,
Yeah, you got to realize, obviously, your tens are garbage.
turn is a king.
And
And
against-
now it gets checked over to Tim, and once that guy called your raise, Tim has to know his hand is not good now.
Well, and you know what I got to tell you?
And he's
again?
just trying to get him off of a jack, probably.
I don't know about you, but I've kind of marked Kevin as a player. I'm not going to try to bluff this guy.
And the river here is a 5, and you wonder if Tim is going to give up here.
Big man is here.
No, I think he knows he has to bet to win
Of course
here.
he knows.
Big man.
He's trying to get his opponent off a weak jack.
And he is going to bet.
And,
He's going to bet. Wow, big bet.
I mean, Kevin can
500.
beat nothing here. Kevin can really beat nothing. Hey, I'll give one thing for Tim here. Give him credit for really putting his balls on the line here, and he's going to win it.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, you're not going to make a living bluffing a guy like Kevin. You're really
Well,
not
you know,
going to.
it's a good. It's very interesting that Tim recognizes the fact there that pocket tens is as good as ace high there on the river. A lot of people, sometimes they almost know that the guy in front of them has a better hand, but their hand is almost good enough to show down. But he realized that tens cannot be good in a showdown, so it doesn't make any difference what he has.
Well, of course. When you look at that board, it's Jack 3
Feel me
deuce.
out.
Yeah.
You know, rainbow.
This guy.
Now a king on the turn. The guy's still calling my raises. I
From
mean,
afar. I seen this guy on TV. Come on,
You
he's
get Ryan in the booth?
This
in the
guy only
box?
deals for the top players,
And here you are.
and here we are.
I can't give you more.
Well, he's
I've seen
slumming
his
tonight.
play. Why don't you take a break?
He's definitely on the gamble tonight. I seen
Yeah,
him
played-
call 100 Cole with 6-4.
So Francois, who I really think is one of the better players, if not probably one of in the top 5 or 10% of players that play in this game. And I'm saying that honestly. I think he's definitely a guy that consistently wins money in this game, which obviously you do not see out of the majority of people that play this
Oh,
game.
that's nothing.
the only problem with Francois' game
Is
is
he tilts, right?
he steams off money.
Yeah. But when he's playing well, he's pretty good.
All right, 7-2 real good.
That's a big leak, though. You know, you play well
Yeah.
99% of the time, and the 1% of the time. So 99% of the time, you're winning $100 an hour, and then the 1% of the time you tilt, you go through $1,000 an hour.
Right, yeah.
Okay, well,
So one of them has five
you work out the math. It's tough to win that way.
I appreciate the courage.
And we see that with a lot of players.
open-ended
It's not just,
Thank you.
Well, you see what Barry Greenstein says about it all the time.
$1.50 sometimes.
Especially at that level that he plays at, where all the players are pretty much. I mean, there might be some that are slightly better than others, but if they're all at that level playing professionally, and the ones that don't tilt can really take advantage of the ones that do go through tilting phases.
Happy single anyway.
Wow.
And obviously, you do have better players and worse players even at that level as well.
Yeah.
And you limp in and you're not listening to me.
I remember an email a guy sent me a couple months ago saying, "How can you guys say that? You know, the best pros, they don't tilt, they're pros."
The fucking queen.
Well, it's really not the
We
case.
saw Yoshi Nakano tilt on
Yeah,
the show.
yeah.
Oh, with the fucking aces, you have to raise with them.
5 players.
5-way
Aces,
action
dealer.
here. Limped around. King Jack 3 here on the flop. Dan limped in with 10s, not a great flop for 10s.
Not really a good flop for anybody,
Aces,
huh?
dealer.
Last thing you're gonna get.
Turns a 9. Now Tim has he had a straight draw, he picks up a pair now and sees
Yeah, he doesn't have much of a straight draw, though. He needs a
That's way
10.
of saying
checked around again. The river is a queen, and now Dan has a straight.
No.
Dan is back into straight.
Imagine
Tim is
he's
back
gonna
into
bet
2
here.
pair, though. Now, what does Tim think of his hand?
Dan's going to bet 100. He's going to overbet the size of the pot. Tim's hand again is only a bluff catcher.
Yeah, he can't beat hearts.
And he just he
Yeah,
checked
he doesn't even
yeah,
think about
yeah.
it. He can't beat hearts, can't beat a 10.
Yeah.
You got 2 of them in there?
We've got about an hour and 15 minutes left in the show.
Big one, awesome.
I really do want to start a dialogue with that hand. You know, I was actually thinking about posting, and I don't do it that often, over in the high limit section, over in strategy forums on 2+2, about that hand. Not mentioning who the characters were, just saying, because I respect some of the people that post over there about that Queen 10, Jack 10 hand. And again, because I want to see what the other side is, because I want to see if I'm analyzing it wrong. If there's a case where, with those stack sizes, he could have possibly played in that hand. Because, you know, poker hands are rarely cut and dry. Wrong, right? Tim has raced it up here to 20 with ace-7. Andrew has called with ace-queen, and Boston took it off at 8-deuce. I'm not sure what Boston's doing there. Maybe he just figured pot on.
Tim's in bad shape here.
And it went checked around. Ace-10-6 here. And now Andrew bets with ace-queen. And Tim calls. And
Andrew's
looking.
Four. And I think if you're Andrew here, I think why not put a little value bet in there?
Bets again.
25.
And Tim says, I know you have your ace to beat here. And look at that, he's not going to call there. Tim does not call the river.
And Andrew, obviously, keeping the pot small there, doesn't really like ace-queen out of position.
Well, I think Tim was trying to keep the pot small as well. It just goes to show you what a garbage ace-7 hand is. He raises it, and then he doesn't even feel comfortable putting any money in the pot.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Well, when he gets called by a pretty solid player, I mean, Andrew hasn't really put many chips in the pot all night. You know, you talk about, obviously, different poker players, and all good ones, having different views on the same hand. I got to tell you, I have different views on for myself, just from 4 months ago, 5 months ago, a year ago. From watching this show, from analyzing thousands and thousands of hands, my opinion of how certain hands should be played have completely changed.
Why didn't you tell me before you did that?
You know, it's one of those things like every single day I play more poker, I realize how stupid I was just yesterday.
Alibaba.
Queen 5-4 here. Dan's got the best hand with Queen Jack in the blind.
James.
25.
But Boston's going to lead out here with middle pair. Dan's going to raise.
Raise at 50.
Don't get mad. Going to raise at 50, and that probably should tell Boston he's going to be done with it.
Mad is bad.
I don't get mad. I always
Don't get mad.
Again, you can email us at live@thebike.com. Questions, comments, suggestions.
I heard it before.
Who did the Jets play over the weekend in their first preseason game?
They lost to somebody like 16-3.
Yeah.
Who did they lose to? I forget. Preseason, I don't really care about. And this year, the Jets are going to just suck.
Oh, really?
Oh, they're going to be terrible. Their offense is going to be abysmal. Curtis Martin looks like he's out for the year.
You would think that he's probably just going to retire at this point.
Yeah, I would imagine. So we'll see. He's still up in the air. He's
I remember Curtis Martin way back kind of being
50.
He was almost like a standout star at Pittsburgh. $50 raise here by C2. Got injured his senior year. Then Parcells drafted him in '94, and he got AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year in '94.
Yeah, Parcells got him in third round, too.
Yeah.
2 players.
We're going to see this heads up here. Kevin and Boston.
Well, Boston is called on the button with a kind of a trap hand, but he is in position.
Well, he's calling the player, too. Is Boston going to use his power of position here?
I believe Kevin checked.
Yep.
I have a feeling if Boston bets here, Kevin's going to call anyways from what we've seen
Probably.
tonight. Even though he doesn't really have any backdoor draw.
So that's the problem with bluffing a guy like this. Yeah, it might work, but you have to fire 3 bullets, and you have to keep firing.
Well, now Kevin turns him, turns a queen. You wonder if Boston.
And Kevin checks again, and Boston's going to take the card now.
Boston needs a king and a king only. Rivers at 9.
Now this might be a spot where you check it one
where
more time.
You would check call, yeah.
Possibly. Maybe letting your opponent bluff at it one more time if you think they have nothing. And there's definitely a spot in the game for that.
Now, also when you were in Vegas, we're going to have a third mic in here, so when we have guests.
Great, that's good.
All 3 of us will be
We should
on.
have some fabulous guests in here.
It's going to cost me 10 grand to come over here. Okay, I got 2. Yeah.
And apparently it's already set up.
Yep.
Now we just need the guests.
The lawyer wants
A lot of people coming through in the next couple of weeks here at the bike.
airplane tickets. And
Well, I figure, what is it today? August 14th. By the way, my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom.
papers.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Tushman.
Mrs. Brian, Mrs. Tushman.
How
Also,
did
my
they
mom's
go from
anniversary.
David Tuckman to Brian Tuchman? How does
I
that
have no idea.
The airplane.
I mean, your writing isn't half as bad as mine if they were trying to read it off of what you wrote it.
I didn't write anything down. That's
No.
the thing.
Airplane costs $5.
I imagine a lot of the big names will start coming in actually on this Thursday. Because this Thursday is a $1,500 event.
C2 raises it to
Two-day event.
75 with 6-3 offsuit and takes it down.
2,000 to like
What do you think?
leave that.
August 17th? Bart?
Cross the border.
Uncle Mike says raise.
Big one.
You're gonna have to go to Syria.
Yeah, obviously that's the $1,500 no the second day.
Two-day
They
event.
might be here the whole week. I mean, they might be coming. I mean, the next 2 days are $500 events. Tomorrow with the rebuy.
Right,
That's
exactly.
a pretty big one too.
You know, they've all gotten about a week off or so, or 10 days off from the World Series.
You know, a guy that we've never had any contact with that I'd love to get on the show is Helmuth. I really like that. I think he's funny. Not like the mouth, who I think is obnoxious.
Right.
We've never interviewed him. We've never had him on the show.
I think we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Four clubs.
I'll talk to my people about it.
4 players.
Every time I get
Lived around here 4 ways. 8-6 deuce here on the flop. Good hand for George to come out and semi-bluff into. He's got 7-9, open-ended straight draw. And he
By
does
the,
bet.
by the way, you don't want to miss tomorrow night's show. 'Cause tomorrow night we have kind of a special little, almost like a special little celebration as we give something to one of our favorites.
Oh, and we are also, like I mentioned last week, we're going to do a pick a winner contest on Wednesday where the person that comes closest picks the largest winner of the show and comes closest to the amount that they won will win cash. We're also giving away these bobbleheads. Random drawing coming up in the next couple of days.
That's kind of cool.
Bobblehead to each archive subscriber that gets chosen. This is Helmuth. That is Doyle. Right.
I actually was talking to those guys who make these bobbleheads.
Yeah, they had a booth at the expo.
They said they're coming up with David Tuckman and Bart Hansen.
I know
bobbleheads.
that guy said that. I don't know if he was telling the truth, but that'd be cool.
What's going on TV? What are you doing? Why you Jews? You trying to steal my $10?
So you gonna play tonight? You haven't played like it seems like in an eternity.
Yeah, I haven't really.
Yeah.
I did play. When I was here for 2 days, I played one night. Won 2,500.
Your sister's sick.
But I haven't played since.
It's okay.
And no, I'm not going to play tonight. I'm probably not going to play for a couple days still.
Really? Why? Just because you're not really feeling that good still?
Yeah, I'm still getting over being a little sick. Like I said, you burn the candle at both ends for too long, and you find yourself burnt.
$15. If you don't call, I'm gonna get mad.
Yeah.
For you, don't
Well,
get mad.
Francois
get
has
even.
raised it a little bit with 5s, and Asa calls with 8-9.
Ah.
And Asa's got
Put it
bottom
away,
pair, but you
shouldn't
wonder if
you?
he can continue on here.
That's not really what you're looking for with 8-9, is it?
And it goes check. Francois does not bet.
Wow.
Turn to 4.
I'm surprised Francois did not take advantage of his position here.
I said
Well, now it's a
100.
$15 bet by Asa, and Francois
No floor
calls.
for you, mister.
And the river's a 9, and now Asa
Yeah,
can really
too
feel
fair.
comfortable about betting because he's made trips at the end.
Yeah, unless he thinks Francois is like backing the diamonds.
All in.
1 player per hand, man.
He bets here again.
1 player per hand. Okay.
Well, now at this point, you wonder if Francois thinks that he's, maybe he was going to call the turn, hope to just check it down. The guy had nothing. Can he call here, or does he need to raise?
Your money there.
Well, the thing is, the bet doesn't make much sense. He's trying to figure out why would this guy bet.
Sorry.
I don't think he has a king. Maybe he has a 10.
All right, I'm sorry.
But why would he bet it unless he had a 9?
And Francois folds.
Uncle Mike says just keep betting.
And our Norwegian
Uncle
friend
Mike,
takes it
you're
down.
watching
And the
this,
mystery of
you'll love
Scandinavia
it. I need
continues.
$1 million. Thank you.
So apparently we got a Hoyt Corkins bobblehead, Johnny Chan, Phil Helmuth, Doyle Brunson.
I didn't mean to
Crack
get
my
involved.
aces again. I'm waiting.
I like the Doyle one. A-ding.
Seems like it's pretty good value for like the quality of how sturdy these things are. I think they only cost $10, but that's what they were selling for them at the expo.
Wow, and they're limited edition too.
They look Ray-Bans, dude.
60.
5,000.
Apparently they're collectible. Isn't everything collectible though?
Poker heads are
Nice.
upgraded. Looks like Boston
Protect you from the
here
sun.
has raised it up with Jack
Oh,
10.
protect you from poker player.
And he's going to take it down.
Kind of middle-ish position.
People say I have nice eyes, so I have sometimes
Let me
I
see
feel
your
weird.
eyes.
No.
No, let me see. You're,
$15,
you're not in the hand.
$25.
You're not in the hand. Come on, let me see your eyes.
No, you might
Come
block
on,
me
I'm a
next time.
casting agent. Let me see your eyes.
No.
I can make you millions.
That's okay.
Huh.
My wife is getting ready. I don't even know.
Huh.
And I don't do gay porn with me anyway.
Pocket jacks
do
over
gay
here for
porn?
George Giorgio
That's where I saw you.
in the cutoff.
I
He was
swear
telling
I
me
saw
about
you.
how lately, he likes to limp in with his hand a lot, but
I didn't
in
say
late
no,
position,
but
you
I
wonder if he's
swear
going to
I
play
saw
it.
it.
I think in this guy, I think he has to raise here.
One player per hand.
I got it, bro. I got you.
What does he got to do?
Crowding around you guys.
George is going to raise.
Francois.
I think in the cutoff seat, I think you have to raise this for value.
Makes it 75 to go.
See? Look how lucky I am.
Takes it down.
Francois always adding a little bit of his flavor to the table. Whenever he sits down.
Picky, one player per hand.
I'm not.
What do you think? Do you think Francois is gay?
I'm being picky.
No, why would you say that?
Look at him. Look at, doesn't he look gay?
Man, I stopped all doing
What are you talking about?
He has a lisp, you know.
Oh, I see. I think he's Lebanese. He's got to be
I know you
accent.
becoming every time I open the one, you make $1 million.
Ace King here for seat
And
one.
actually, Francois and I have actually become pretty good friends over the last few months. He's a very good poker player, good guy.
Now George is limped in here with Ace 10. You assume Ace is going to raise here in the cutoff with Ace King.
And I know I'm not gay, but hey, you know what? Francois is awfully cute.
Wow, and the button cold calls 75 with Ace rack. Ace 6 off suit.
Oh, that surprises you? I mean, we've seen Kevin play for the last 2 hours.
And we're heads up. There's only one ace left. Does not come.
No surprise there. Both players miss. And Ace just checks down. I mean, I can't believe it.
Check, check. Turns a queen. Well, you wonder if Ace is going to take a shot at it now, and it looks like he is.
Just for a couple of
Raise.
He bets 100, and Kevin immediately says raise.
Yeah, and we always talk about physical tells. Generally speaking, strength means weakness. Weakness means strength.
Makes it 300 to go.
a month ago.
And Kevin picks up on Ace's weakness here, and he's going to take it down. Nice play by Kevin.
Pocket aces.
And I think he told me he had pocket eights.
Aces, I think. he said.
Aces, okay.
Yeah.
You buy that?
I think it was because I was privy to see the cards that he did not have pocket aces. You ever been to Scandinavia before?
No, I've been nowhere.
Is that what you were wondering?
I figured out really in a very pathetic way that I've been to like 9 countries in my entire life. Maybe 8.
I'm not sure.
I don't want to be a blood.
No, I've been to like 40 states.
Being a blood, so
Francois has limped in here with queens. I think that's actually almost as impressive or more impressive.
Is
I mean,
it?
to me, in a lot of states, I think it can sometimes be harder. So Francois, you wonder if he's limping in or just trying to pull the limp re-raise. He's not going to get the limp re-raise. Here we go to the flop, and an ace comes out. Let's see how he's going to play it.
Well, I think he's going to check fold. I really do.
25.
Well, he's going to put a little
Well,
money in there.
He's one off the button, so he's going to bet second, basically what his second pair to the board.
And
he
we've
gets
seen
like-
Andrew. Andrew's going to play ace 10 here real slow.
Well, and look at this. Andrew's going to put a bet out here on the second spade. Or third spade. It's a jack of spades. And Francois raises him.
Well, you know what? Andrew's in a tough spot here. He does have the ace of spades, but
Yeah.
he's got to realize that there's a good chance he is behind right now.
Well, now, here comes another question, though. Is Francois going to check the river here? Or does he think he needs to bet and bet the guy off the best hand? The river is another jack.
You guys give me money, I'm all in.
Yeah, and Francois is going to move in. He definitely thinks he needs to bet here to win.
Hey, you imagine so.
Yeah.
Trying to get him up a weak ace.
Yeah.
And look at that.
Pocket queens.
And he's telling the truth. But again, the reason why he bet the river there is because he probably knows that his hand's
Oh,
not
of
going
course.
to
He's not going to bet that for value.
Yeah.
Queen high.
Because you got to think, what am I going to get called by that I can beat? And, I think obviously Andrew incorrectly thought that his hand was not good.
Button moves over here to seat 4.
That's all you're putting.
That's all?
Oh.
That's it?
George is going to limp in here with queen
Oh,
10.
where's the other guy at? God damn it. Did I tip you?
And ace is going to raise here with a suited ace 7.
I'm sorry.
Once again, I want to thank
raise.
our local potato here, Jay Siegel, for helping us out.
Raise it to 140.
And seat number 2 is going to re-raise. When you were out of the booth, he re-raised with 9 deuce against this guy. He's picking on Asa. He's going to make it 140 to go with pocket 3s. And Ace's hand is real garbage here anyways.
Yeah, it
You can
really
imagine
is.
he's not going to see a flop.
I didn't buy it.
And now Kevin shows the threes to everyone. Again, that really is a tournament type move. There really is no reason to do that. There isn't that much money in to make a re-raise to win that.
Well, the whole point with pocket threes, I really want to see a flop. I want to flop a three and I want to win a big pot. I want to risk 140 to win 40. I mean, where's the logic in that?
Big blind, Francois, you want that?
He doesn't. He plays solid, but he's down with a lot of money for sure. You know what I mean? Okay, he was wearing one of those.
Yeah, I gotta give Jay Siegel a lot of credit. While I was at the World Series, I had obviously a lot of interviews with Phil Locke and Daniel Negreanu and all these different people, Kenny James, and I would consistently call up Jay Siegel, our potato, for information.
I just want to point out how Kevin is playing it really backwards. Now he's got pocket kings in C2, and he limps in. But now the cutoff here is he's gonna raise it to 25.
No, he's made it 25.
Oh, he did make it 25. Okay.
But still, 25. The kings, he's pretty deep.
You know what? Since I'm on the call,
Francois is gonna call with Jack 9, and Andrew's gonna call with King Queen.
How about a King Queen 10? King Queen 10.
Oh, I missed it.
Well, this should be fairly easy for everyone to get away from.
You can check too.
No,
Just check. 75.
No. How about
95.
We still have 3 players in the hand,
That's good.
and he's gonna bet
I'm
100,
lucky my flush draw.
and that's it.
Kevin takes it down. But I want to extend my my gratitude to Jay Siegel. He was kind of my own personal research department while I was in Vegas. And never failed. Not once.
Well, Jay is supposedly kind of contributed to the Phil's foundation, right? So has kind of a somewhat of a relationship with Phil.
Nice drive.
Yeah,
Probably weren't
apparently.
able to see it
Nice drive.
amongst all the chatter, but it did happen.
And I got to give Jay credit. I mean, it was actually his idea that I donated to that charity.
Oh, really?
I knew I wanted to donate it to some cancer
Just
charity.
find the 2 aces and just
So.
shove them.
It's kind of a no-brainer.
Hey, C3, just smack. We can chop me, my buddy over here. Oh, he is making.
Limp in here by C2.
Uncle Mike says be friendly.
Yeah.
He does.
Limp by Boston.
Uncle Mike, be friendly!
That was loud.
There's no Uncle Mike here, man. There's Uncle Francois.
Uncle Mike is watching, and if I get in trouble, I'm
And we're gonna see it 3 ways here, Dave.
Uncle Mike, whatever he is. he's
Queen
checked.
6-4 rainbow. Francois got Queen 7 here. He's not in the hand.
Alright, I'll check.
I'm not winning that. I can't
And it's
believe
gonna get checked around here.
Oh
Queen
my
deuce
God,
though for
Queen
seat
7.
9. George
How about top
Giorgio.
2 Francois?
Well, Francois is not in the hand, like I just said.
Oh.
200.
Now George is gonna come out and bet here.
You know, the funny is I heard you say that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I looked up again, though, figuring the cards would probably be off by now, but they still weren't.
Sounds right.
And now Kevin has raised it with Ace-8.
Is that the show?
So Kevin is once again, he's been bluffing all night. George bets, and now Kevin raises. Now remember, George called his bluff raise on the river earlier in the night.
I gotta tell you, now, if you were gonna play against a guy like Kevin, how might you adapt to his style? Is you might actually, if you flop a monster against what normally what you and I would say, I might check it once.
If Ed was
Let him
there,
check
then it would
behind
be
me.
fun.
Then I bet the turn because I know he's gonna think I'm weak.
Right.
And I'm gonna induce a raise right there on the spot. And I'm gonna get an awful lot of money out of him when he has
How many
nothing.
hands did I play? 1 or 2?
I don't know.
Well, he has raised, and what's trying to go through George's head is, what would this guy check the flop with and now raise the
No,
turn
actually, I
with?
like this table.
Well, I mean, a lot of hands you get a 5-8,
You don't play hands.
And you know what, friends?
5-3, 7-6, 7-4.
Look at George.
Remember, George made a big call on him last time with Ace Queen High. He knows Kevin can bluff, but I don't know if he's gonna. I think maybe he's gonna pick a better spot.
Doing
Here.
that fake fold-out move.
Alright, one time. I think I got you on
I think George knows he's probably got the best hand here, but he's gonna live to fight another day.
Show and show. Oh, he's a very honest man.
And he's going to show the bluff.
Pocket aces. Pocket aces.
But again, it's not like George lost thousands of dollars on that hand.
No, of course not.
You know.
You know,
You got it, play.
if you're playing against a compulsive bluffer, it's not your job to be the table policeman, okay? It's not your job to snuff out every single bluff that he is trying to pull on you. You just need to stop him once in a while, just to make enough money. Apparently, Infinite One making fun of my haircut. I just wore the hat. Didn't you guys see this? Where I'm wearing this Boston Red Sox hat all night? I happened to take it off because it was giving me a headache.
Just for the hell of it.
It's actually the first time I saw Barry Bonds play in a game on Sunday. And the first time I saw Maddox or Schmidt pitch, but pretty interesting game.
Barry Bonds.
5-way action here. Ace, 8, king here with a couple clubs.
Did you throw stringers at him?
Well, I'll get to some of that in a second here. Clubs over here for Francois. He's on the button. Let's see if he bets the flush draw.
So apparently we get Francois' hand up there when he's not in the hand. I tell you, there's nothing more fun than giving Ronnie a hard time. Ronnie obviously welcoming me back.
And Francois took the card. He did not bet with the ace out there with the flush draw. That's something I really like to do with an ace out there. A couple high cards in an unraised pot, Dave.
Another
Because
problem.
what would have happened, though, is the turn is a jack of spades. Ace probably would have check called, and then he could have taken a turn. Taken a free card on the turn at 7 down of clubs.
We don't say much, so we don't figure you're...
Well, Ace bet's 40 now. And now Kevin has picked up a spade draw, although it'd be a dry spade draw. And is he going to raise again?
I also sometimes want to define my hand.
He calls.
You know, I also want to define my hand sometimes. Remember, if I bet the 7 of clubs and I get called in 4 spots,
Right.
well then maybe I don't have the highest flush draw once again.
3 players.
And we got 3-way action here. Francois still in the hand with 7 of clubs, and the river is the 6 of hearts.
Francois open-ended now. Does that mean anything?
Well, so is Kevin. And Ace has got the best of it. Is he going to put any more money in here, though?
200.
He checks, and now Kevin is going to $200 bluff, and Ace immediately calls. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it?
And that's what you got to love. I mean, when you're playing against a guy like this, is you just want to give him enough rope to keep bluffing, because he's going to bluff off all his money.
Be careful when you do this.
He can't stop bluffing. It's like a drug to him.
Kind of like Adam, similar to that.
It's similar to Mike, too, in some ways.
I never understood, and I was there. People were booing. Now, the Dodgers and the Giants, it's a real rival. They hate each other. But why would you boo and hiss at Barry Bonds all the time about a guy about to break the home run record? I had never had a
friggin'
problem with
fraud.
him. Oh, come on. Really?
Yes, he's
You
a
feel
friggin'
that
what do
way?
you
You
mean?
think that's why everyone's booing him as opposed
He's
to...
a friggin' fraud. What do you mean? Really? He's actually... you know what? We are an amazing society in the sense that we will forgive people. You know? If they come out and be honest with you. But don't try to bullshit us for the last 4 years. No, I have never taken steroids. Never in my life. I didn't even know I did that. Come on. And then you want me to root for you? You want me to cheer for you? It's a friggin' fraud.
I just don't... I'm of the feeling, I don't necessarily know if
Raise it 150.
steroids, obviously by themselves, they don't do anything. You have to work hard on them. And how much more... I mean, you're saying that the record
Nice
is
to
tainted
raise you from
because of it.
Asa.
You're saying that the record is definitely tainted because of it. Now, what about the single-season home run record, that he holds now, but also that McGuire broke in, 98? That has to be a fraud, too, right?
Of course it is.
So you don't put any credence on record baseball, offensive baseball records like
Basically,
the last 10
if you
years.
want to take 1992 to 2006, you will label this as the steroid
It's a lot
era.
easier to
Yeah.
say when
And
you're
basically
back.
every offensive record will go down. I mean, it's similar like if you want to look at the 1960s, the pitching era, when they raised the mound. Or the dead ball era before, back in the 10s,
Yeah.
teens. You've got to take each era as its own. But no, of course not. I mean, come on, look at Barry Bonds' record through the 80s and 90s. And then suddenly he became this monster. What, he just suddenly learned how to work at it, 38 years old?
6 players.
6-way action here, limped around.
I mean, you don't actually think he's innocent, do you?
No, I don't say that, but I almost think that...
But it's not a big deal?
I don't think it's all that big of a deal. I think his record is still the home run champion if he hits more home runs than Hank Aaron. Now, Seat 7 is going to come out and bet here with 4-5.
Now, look, check out Kevin here. Kevin, of course, now that he has trips, he plays it backwards. I love players like this. This is actually kind of how Corporation Mike used to play when he first started playing.
60.
Really aggressive when they have nothing.
Well, he actually check races here, Dave.
Okay, but he doesn't come out and bet it. He does a min check raise.
60.
Yeah.
Yes, 30 to call.
Now, Asa here, who's been involved the whole time, he's in real trouble because he doesn't have a draw. He's got a 5, but he
All right,
folds
throw it away.
He folds it.
The check raise, and Kevin gets no action at all.
Funny thing here is you're right. Like you almost think if Kevin came out and over-bet that flop from up front, he would get calls from the fives.
Exactly.
Fives wouldn't go anywhere.
If you bet $50, get
Yeah.
called. Then you bet 100, get called. Bet 200, I get called.
Button moves over.
I mean,
here to
I
C2.
can't believe you don't think that it's a big deal that he's been taking illegal steroids for probably the last 10 years.
They weren't illegal.
Thank you.
They weren't. I mean, there wasn't any specific rule when he took them against them in the major leagues.
Where did he play? What country? What country did Barry Bonds play in?
All right. What about all the players in the
I'm
NBA
asking-
that smoke pot that don't get tested for it?
What country did Barry Bonds play poker?
Yeah, but
did
you and
poker?
I think. I mean, I have a pretty strong feeling about just because somebody's say smoking pot and it's illegal doesn't necessarily mean that they're like criminals.
That's
You know.
pot is not an enhancing. You're not going to become a better baseball player by smoking pot.
And a raise here by C4. Made it
Now
50 to go with nines.
you might become a better person if you started smoking pot.
Boston here is called with ace king of diamonds.
I can't. Unbelievable.
And there we go. We're going to see four-way action here. It's a $200 pot. Andrew the Razor with nines. And look at this. He's got bottom
Uh-oh.
set. Boston's got ace king.
Now Boston's got to be a little aware now. This was a raised pot, right?
Yeah.
You got to realize you can't beat ace queen now.
Now, Andrew was the pre-flop Razor, right, in seat 4?
Yes.
Okay.
And Andrew, the way Andrew's played all night, how often has Andrew actually voluntarily put chips in the pot?
Well, here we go, though, again. Now, Boston's going to bet 125. If Andrew check raises here, I think it lets Boston off the hook. I can't believe he raised it pre-flop, and now he's going to play it as a check raise.
Now, how much money does he have, though? It doesn't look like he's very deep.
And is Kevin going to add a little spice to this hand and bluff with nothing here with deuce 4? Because he has nothing. But I'm saying...
My question, though, is how much money does Andrew have? Okay, Andrew's got $100, so he's playing
Oh,
it backwards. Nothing wrong with that. He's got 125, so that's nothing wrong.
Is
with
he not playing with purple chips in his right hand there, or
In the tank again, huh?
that. Nah, see, he's got only got 100, a little
Okay.
over $100.
Okay. Well, that's
So playing it
different then.
backwards, obviously, is probably correct in this one
to get
spot.
the money in there? But if
Right.
he was deeper, you've got to figure
Oh.
you're going to bet out and get a call by an ace. As opposed
Definitely.
to check raise and get an ace king to lay it down.
Right. Somebody with ace king, you might get somebody with ace queen, obviously, to commit, but somebody
Right.
with ace king would probably realize very quickly, I can't beat ace queen here. I'm at best hoping to
Now, the
chop
funny
this up.
thing about this is that if Kevin makes like a raise and then Andrew comes in, thinks about it, and calls, does that change anything for Boston? He can proceed on if he thinks Kevin's bluffing, right? Because Andrew, it's only $50 more for Andrew.
Of course. Oh, yeah, I don't think Boston's going to go anywhere. And once again here, obviously, Kevin just can't help himself. He's just trying to think of, can I make a move here?
They're the same. I'm just
Same
wondering.
zone.
And you can see how, as a player start to master
Well,
the
he
game,
folds it.
you can see how players start to master the game of poker, and Andrew's going to move all in, and Boston's going to call, and Boston's in terrible shape.
Sorry, I had to say it.
You can see how there, though,
You're killing me.
Kevin had
Uncle Mike,
nothing. He had
I'm
deuce
trying
4
for
diamonds.
the-
As players start getting
Uncle
better,
Uncle Mike.
they start bluffing with cards that make sense, not just nothing.
Well, Boston's going to need to have a running straight or a running full house here on the turn on the river. That's it. It's over.
And Andrew's going to double through there.
Now, again, remember, if you're deep stacked, ace king is not that strong of a hand on that flop because you don't beat ace queen either.
No, of course
So
not.
that's why if you check raise
And-
somebody, ace king, it's a relatively easy laydown, or you're not. gonna
You've
get
got to
that
start
much.
realizing if a sane player, if somebody like Andrew, who's been playing pretty solid all night, if he check raises me there, do I really think he would do that with a hand like ace jack raise 10? Probably not. So then I got to start thinking I'm probably beat.
Pocket queens, ace
I mean,
queen.
at the
pocket
worst,
nines.
he has the same hand I have.
Right.
So
Sorry.
And you're
So
right.
you
though.
have nothing wrong with the fact of the matter that Barry Bonds has been taking illegal steroids that are, by the way, illegal in the United States to take.
I put, regardless of what my feelings are in terms of the baseball, them being illegal, that means absolutely nothing to me. Because I don't put any credence in.
How about
in
bottom
this
Super
country,
Boston?
Them saying like a certain drug is illegal. Yeah,
Bottom Super
two
Boston,
Boston.
unfortunately for him, nobody's got an ace here, and Kevin is he going to make a move? It's always a question. It's one of the reasons why you got to bet your hand here. You want to give him the chance to make a move.
50.
There you
And
go.
Kevin raises. He raises.
Now, sometimes it can be tough. People sometimes make this mistake against Mike. What they'll do is they'll call this, and then they'll check the turn.
And Mike will
and
take the card
and
on
they'll
a
take
drop.
the card.
Yeah.
Now, in this case, Kevin's got nothing. But Mike might have a 4. Or Mike might have, say, King Jack.
10-8, something like that.
Something
yeah.
like that. And then when Mike spikes 2 pair or trips, suddenly you lose a lot of money. Because you've given the free card. But
Erased.
Boston is going to come back right away. He's going to re-raise right away. And that's
I
going to
think
get
he's
Kevin
hoping
out.
that Kevin has an ace here, and that he won't go anywhere with two
Hey,
snakes.
why not? Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And Kevin's got nothing here, though. But he's
But
cutting out
can he
chips.
not help himself? Is he going to re-raise here, Dave?
Just can't help himself.
And he's going to re-raise it 200 more.
I got to tell you, if I'm Boston here, I might just shut down.
Just check call and let him bluff off.
Well, I don't know at this point.
Yeah.
Or do you just move all in and go, you know what? If you got me beat, you got me beat. If you got ace 10, you got ace 10. All the power to you, buddy. And Boston's going to do it. Boston's going to go, you know what? I'm not going to play it passively. I'm going to move all in
Well,
here.
he hasn't done anything yet.
Oh, I thought he moved in. That's just Ronnie in my back. Thank you, Ronnie.
Now he's going to move in.
And he is going to move all in.
How much is that?
Kevin's asking how much it is. We do have the cards up right. It's Queen 5.
What's that? How many more? 540 more?
Does he think he's pot committed now, thinking maybe I can get running hearts? Or is he just doing this to save face?
Well, I think he's doing it to save face.
What do you have to read?
Unbelievable.
Well, obviously
Something
he's
goes on
going to
here.
lay this down. And I don't want to
Are
talk.
you sure?
Do you need a pub?
I don't want to talk too much on this topic anymore, but a couple
Uncle
other
Mike,
words.
what do I do?
The steroids thing, I don't necessarily know if the guys that take steroids, if they are legal via prescription, or if that makes any difference to you if they're legal or not, or if they're just illegal. Because my point is, people don't realize there are a lot of legal drugs that you can get by prescription that are much more dangerous and more addicting than certain illegal
Of course,
street
of course.
drugs.
But these are, I mean, a lot of the guys that are doing it are human growth hormones that are clearly illegal that they're getting illegally.
But they might be legally prescription ones, something like that.
For a big pot, I think.
No, the ones that Barry Bonds and a lot of the other baseball players are taking are not legal in any way
Okay,
or
so
form.
my point to you, though, is does that make any difference? So what if he was abusing Vicodin or Dilaudid, a prescription narcotic? Does that make it less,
Honestly,
it makes it,
I have no problem.
it's not as serious because you can get it
no.
legally via prescription?
My beef, I hope you understand this, I'm going to say it one time. My beef is not with players taking illegal drugs because they want to. Keith Hernandez, growing up in the 80s, Keith Hernandez was a cocaine
Blowing out his
addict.
nose.
I had no idea. I could care less.
Lenny Dykstra? Somebody like
No, see, Lenny Dykstra was
Wade Boggs.
he was a steroid user.
Yeah.
So the problem I have with steroid users is they are putting themselves up above everybody else. And anybody else can say, well, anybody can take steroids if they want to. But you are forcing the other guys to take steroids. And for a child growing up who wants to compete at the same level and wants to make it to the major leagues, is now forced to take steroids, which might not be good for your body, because they want to compete with the likes of Len Dykstra or Barry Bonds or players like that.
We had a raise here by Asa. Dan just called with ace
Sorry,
queen.
Isaac, you're the director. Sorry.
And John is called with a pair of fours.
From now on, someone takes more than 30 seconds.
What a turnaround for Boston here. An absolute great turnaround. He catches that black four,
We'll do the same to you.
wins half that pot, then he gets Kevin to bluff off about $500 to him.
Now Asa has bet 85 here. He's got the over pair.
He's really turned it around.
Hey, big boy.
Sounds like Boston and George are.
We're not. The blinds aren't going to get raised. You know.
I think George is complaining about the pace of the play. And Boston's like, what? It's a cash game. I mean, what do you expect? Oh, look at this. And John spikes a 4 on the turn. Wow.
Every hand.
And he checks it.
I haven't seen John play that much.
Then talk to the floor person. Ask him to speed up the action.
Now, is this a case where you would ever make some sort of pot control check here if you're Asa?
Yeah, and it's not a bad spot. You look at it, it's not really a draw-heavy board unless you think your opponent might have 5, 6, or deuce 5.
I'm not mad on.
But he's going to bet one more time here.
Uncle Mike, guys, says don't
That's
get
certainly
mad
not a
here,
pot
poker.
controlling bet.
No,
225.
he's going to bet
Come
225.
on, good time, guys.
I'm absolutely.
Good time, Uncle Mike.
Girls, relax. It's not the end of the world. Come on, up it.
You want to step outside?
You want to arm? You want to arm wrestle?
And he is not going to check raise. He's just going to check call. Now, the interesting thing that I was going to state here is why you might play a hand as just a check call with a 4. Now you have to lead out on the river, though. I played a hand like this one time, Dave, where I make it look like... Well, now 5-6 got there, though. That's the problem.
Been here before. I call.
But would you ever... And look at this. He bets, and we're going to get a call here by Asa. And the reason why I say this is that if you check raise the turn, will a guy lay it down one pair to a check raise? But if you check call the turn and then make a big bet on the river that makes no sense, will you get the money in better that way?
Sometimes you do, exactly. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense to players, and they end up calling you.
I mean, I had a hand against that kind of a tight guy, Dr. Dennis, who's been on the show once or twice, where I led out with a flush on a pair, picked up trips on the turn, and check called the turn as opposed to check raised him, and then led like for a ridiculous bet on the river, making it look like maybe I had a busted flush draw, which I did, but I had trips as well.
Right,
You know what I
and
mean?
he called
Actually, he didn't call.
He didn't
because
call.
he had a higher flush.
But you got to realize also, by check raising the turn, your opponent not only has to call that check raise, but also has to know that he's going to be faced with a big bet on the river.
Right.
So now he has to go, okay, I have to call this $250 plus another $500 bet on the river. You know what? I'm gonna just throw it away now. But on the river, when it's only $300 or so, he goes, oh man, I'm priced in now. Okay, I'll call.
Well, the other thing too, for a guy like that to make that check call with trips on the turn is if you think the guy's bluffing with Ace King, and then you throw a bet out on the river, he might call with Ace King on the river, but he's not going to call a check raise on the turn.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the best play might be to bet right into your opponent
on the turn.
On the turn, let him raise you, or let him just smooth call you, and then you can bet even bigger on the river and really price him.
Checked around here, Jack Deuce 3. Turn
And I believe John is the best hand here with King Deuce.
He does.
75.
Well, Kevin's going to bluff at it. Now, how involved does John want to get? He's out of position. Well, he calls. Now, by him calling, that actually might get a guy with a 3 out of there in the middle. You know, it's funny.
No, hey, why not?
Here we go to the river. And the river's a queen. Now, the problem, though, is that because he's got a deuce, this guy really could have just backed into any pair, but would he bet if he backed into a pair on the river?
Well, that's the question. Well, he might if it was a queen, but...
You animal.
And he's going to take it down. We got about a half an hour left in the show.
Now, to reiterate my position, I want to just point this out. I could care less if professional athletes or celebrities do drugs. I don't really care. It's none of my business, okay? If Charles Barkley wants to smoke pot, go ahead, okay? If Wayne Gretzky wants to do cocaine, I don't care.
Very exclusive country club.
But when it comes to, I mean, you could look at the Tour de France. Hey, so no big deal. The guy is illegally doping. I mean, is that a problem? Of course it is. Because it forces everybody else to do the same thing to bring themselves up to the same level.
Yeah, but remember, though, like I said, at that time when all that stuff came out, there were no rules against it in the major leagues. So all you're saying is that they should get in trouble because it was illegal. There obviously were rules against doping in the Olympics and Tour de France. That's a more serious violation if there's explicit rules saying you can't do this.
Well, whether there is a rule against it or not, there should be some sort of sense of common sense and equity of some sort of fair play. There just comes a point where you've got to realize, okay, it's not really fair. I mean, we look at, like, the funniest thing is if you look back, like, in the mid-'80s, we had second basemen who, like, would hit 280 with 8 home runs and play a good second base, and that was okay. Then suddenly in the mid-'90s, if your second baseman didn't hit 25 home runs, you couldn't play.
Four-way action here. We had a little raise by John with ace-6 of spades on the button. Now, Boston's got the best hand here with king-queen.
Is Kevin going to get in problems? I mean, I think Kevin is in big problem here, I got to tell you.
Actually, excuse me, Boston was the raiser, Dave, so he's hit top pair.
And what's going to happen to Kevin here with top pair here with no kicker? He is in kicker problem. And look at, he bets $100 right into the raiser.
Well, do you just call here if you're Boston? Just keep smooth calling?
I definitely smooth call one time.
Yeah.
It's not a draw-heavy board, and I want to see what the players behind me do. I don't want to commit 300 here and then have a player behind me who's solid re-raise me all in.
Right, because he flopped a set or something.
There's no urgency to raise here, but he's going to raise anyway.
Well, he raises it up right now. And I don't know if Kevin's going anywhere.
Now, obviously, in this case, John and Francois threw it away. But let's say Francois had a set of 5s. Well, then what happens here?
Well, he calls.
And I got to tell you, Kevin might go broke here.
Well, now for Boston, you wonder, does he have enough money where you hope you have the best hand, you just bet for value here?
I bet for value the entire way. I'm going to not only am I going to bet value, but I don't want to scare him off. I'm not going to move all in right away.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You put him specifically on a weak queen. The pot right now is about 800. He's got about 700 left. So how about you put maybe a $350 bet in on the turn, $350 bet on the river? That's a great card on the turn here.
Yeah, not bad at all, actually. Now, obviously, as long as an ace doesn't come, or a 9.
Well, Boston checks the turn, though.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm betting that.
The river's a deuce.
100.
And it's a $100 bet here by Kevin.
And what's Boston going to do? Just call
Boston
here.
calls. Well, I think he was trying to do something with pot size, but I think you're right. When that turn brings a 3, unless the guy's got something like 5-3 with his stat, it's different, Dave. The guy's got 4,000 behind, right?
A little bit. I got to tell you, not really. You got to, if you're playing this game, you got to have the balls to know when you've got the best hand. There just aren't that many golden opportunities. You know, the funny thing is, one of the things I'm very good at is recognizing the 1 or 2 players in a game that are going to give me a lot of money. Okay? And if I'm at this table, you know, Kevin in seat 2, you know, he seems like a nice guy. I don't want to ram him too much. But he seems like the guy, if I'm sitting at this table, he's the guy that I'm going to be targeting as I'm going to try to get all his chips. We've seen Corporation Mike do it sometimes when he plays in the game with like Carlos
Right.
or Ed or Dimitri or somebody like that. You got to like signify. I'm not sitting down at this table going, okay, I'm going to get money from George or Francois. But if I'm in a hand with Kevin and I think I have the best hands, I am going to keep building it. Okay. The pot's $500-$600. I'm going to bet $250 on the turn. I don't want to scare him off. And then on the river, I'm going to bet $500, and I'm really going to get all of his chips. Maximize the value of that hand. You've got to know you probably have the best hand there.
Got a raise here by John. He's going to take it down here with King 10 of
You got
hearts.
2,000 in your pocket.
Yeah, I know, and I don't want to.
A little under half an hour left
I'm
on
a
the
Jew.
show.
I've written about it in my blog a couple of times where I've gotten in hands. Nice chip down here.
Don't be slow.
As you can see, now we've got 12,000 on the table. George with John with 3,500. George with 2,000. Boston with 1,900. Let's take a look at the difference.
Kevin, what a roller coaster ride it's been for Kevin, huh? Kind of knew that would happen. John, our big winner here.
Kevin's still up about 200.
He was up 1,000 earlier. I mean, it's going to be a roller coaster ride for a player like that.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Boston now finally up about $400.
Dealer?
But I wrote about it in my blog on the left-hand side of the screen under the gun with David Tuchman, where there are a couple of times where you go, against a really good player, I could have a hand where I'm going to really, really try to keep the pot small. But against a different player, I am going to try to make that pot as big as possible.
Even with one pair, if you know exactly where he's at.
Exactly.
Right.
You know what? And if the guy catches the second pair on the river, if he catches his 9 in the river, hey, so be it. What are you going to do?
Boston's got ace-king of clubs here, and he's going to raise it up.
That's the value of this game. You know, this No Limit Hold'em is all about players that make mistakes and taking advantage of those mistakes. And if you find a player in your game that makes a lot of mistakes, you have to take advantage of them.
George calls.
Great player.
George called that? Wow.
And Kevin calls as well. Well, there's the king, king 4-9, and is Kevin going to get involved here once again? He checks. It's Boston's turn. He's got backdoor clubs. Now, I think he took a little extra time there maybe to make it look like he missed that flop.
Yeah. It's a nice play by Boston, really is.
He bet to 80.
I like that little pause. Kind of just to give the air of doubt.
Yeah, and look at this. Kevin beats him in the pot here with a quick check call.
And I got to tell you, at this point now, Kevin's only got about $600 left. I want to get every single penny of his money now.
And the turn's an ace, and now Boston's got top 2. Which is actually kind of an action killer for him.
Yeah, and now you got to bet another 150 or so. Keep him in the pot. Keep him there. Maybe 200, but no more than that. Remember, you only have to figure it out so he gets 500.
And he moves all in here. Well, maybe he's trying to make it look like it's a steal.
Yeah, you don't need to scare this guy out, though. I mean, maybe Kevin calls here, but he only has $500 left, though.
Yeah, if you had bet maybe 150 and then put a river bet in there.
Of $300 or $400 to get all his money.
So your point you're making is obviously Boston's going to come back and watch this in the archives. That you think that Boston did not maneuver the last hand and this hand in the right way, and he should have Kevin's money on at least one of these two hands, right?
It's amazing that Kevin has not given him all his money yet.
Yeah.
Really is. And look at this. I think Kevin's going to throw it away. But you got to realize with the turn card there, the likelihood is that your opponent is completely drawing dead or really close to drawing dead. You've got to try to figure out a way to get all his money. And Kevin might call anyway. Prove me wrong, but like we say, we don't want this show to be results-oriented.
I just can't imagine now. You know, if the turn was a 4 or the turn was like a deuce and Boston moved in,
maybe a little different, right?
Yeah, but now with the ace out there, Kevin, that's 2 overcards now.
There's no draw there either. I mean, it's king 9-4, but I don't think Kevin's really paying attention to that.
Although maybe Boston put him on a bigger hand than he had because he just check-called the flop. Maybe he thought he flop-top 2-pair or something like that.
Okay, but there's still no rush to get the money in.
Right.
I mean, there's no urgency at all. If the guy's got 3,000, great play.
Right.
Bet it big. Hope that he does have 2-pair. But in this case, the guy's only got $500 left. Don't you want it all? I just don't want to scare him out. Every single hand, every single case stands on its own. And you've got to realize that in this one case, I mean, Kevin's still thinking about it. Imagine you only bet 150 or 200. I think he easily calls.
Really? Even with 8-9?
Well, he's still thinking about it now. It's a $500 bet.
Well, I think he's more thinking about it now because of the gross overbet there
Do
by
you?
Boston.
Okay, maybe.
But Kevin's got to realize that if Boston's trying to make what he thinks is a steal bet with jacks or queens, he can't beat that either.
No, he can't beat anything.
I mean, this bet might... you might think Boston's betting this because he had a king, or he's trying to get a guy off of a weak king, say he had queens or jacks.
Well, it's funny.
But Kevin can't beat those 2 hands.
Right, maybe Boston is trying to use the ace as a scare card to get you off of king, queen, or king, jack.
When he has pocket queens, right.
Yeah, not a bad play at all.
Do you want? No, you made it back in. Unless you bought it for like $300.
We need some clock.
And I think George has asked for a clock.
Well, this guy's taking like, a year and a half for each play. I mean, we got to move on.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi.
I mean, he took about a minute and a half for the queen 5. It was like, come on, buddy.
She don't look at me like this. She said you have half a minute. 10 Mississippi. It's not paying time for it.
Oh,
Get a new player in seat number 4.
We're probably approaching somewhere around that 1 minute.
No,
maybe she's going to give him a countdown to 10, and then the hand's dead after the countdown to 10.
And he's going to fold.
Okay. There's Chris coming into the game. Oftentimes we play stud high low, Dave.
Yep.
And Chris is going to buy in for $1,000.
Chris also an avid sports gambler.
Oh yeah,
he is.
Is that what he does for a living, sports gambling?
I don't know. I actually don't know what he does for a living. I just know he's always.
That guy. I can never. Well, that probably means he's probably not a professional. If he's asking your opinion, and I don't mean that in any derogatory manner, but that guy Henry Demetrius
comes off that way.
The guy I forget. I can never pronounce his last name. The guy that was on the circuit.
I know
Harry D.
Harry D. We'll just call him Harry D.
Supposedly, he actually makes a living off sports gambling. He doesn't do poker for the money because he makes so money sports gambling. He bets on the Canadian Football League. He's Canadian. And he bets on like other types of strangest prop bets with the NBAs. It's like
really,
yeah, kind of things that the general.
Well, I mean, if you're betting
not.
enough, if you can beat the game by trying to think to beat the vig. I mean, if you can overtake the vig and beat it by just a couple of percentage points, you can make probably a pretty good living.
Got a raise here by Tim and Kevin.
I gotta tell you, man, tough way to live though.
Ace deuce 9 here with a couple of diamonds.
Got about 25 minutes left in tonight's show.
Well, John raised it with deuce 5, and he's got the best hand. He's going to bet here again. Kevin has totally missed, and he check folds.
You don't want to miss tomorrow night. Tomorrow night we've got a special presentation to a very special person.
Again, I want to point people to the archives October 12th and watch that whole episode. Pretty interesting. Post here on 2+2 by John E. Come on, fold your censored Queen 5.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's always funny when, obviously you're sitting at the table and you're wondering, what is this guy taking so long? What do you think he has? And he had absolutely nothing.
Barry Wood says, what the censored is that Kevin guy doing? Throw his ass off for wasting time. And I don't think that they're putting censored in. I think when you type a swear word in, 2+2 does that automatically.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, we got a $50 raise by Asa, and C2 is re-raised with 7-3 of spades.
I gotta tell you, if I'm Ace, I'm moving all in. The way this guy, remember, Kevin has done this to me like 8 times now.
King, Jack, 9, while Asa's got middle pair.
John is not in the hand.
How about a check call here all in with Ace, Jack? King, Jack, 9 on the flop.
And is Ace going to call this?
Call.
Yeah.
Ace calls.
Kevin's
And
way behind.
Thank you for the gift. I mean, tell me, I don't know about you, but I kind of knew it's just a matter of time until Kevin bluffed off all his money, and sure enough, here he is.
And he said all in.
Well, I think I actually like the check call better than the all in, though, like you said.
I was saying all in pre-flop, but this
Oh.
is fine too.
Oh, wow, he picks up backdoor spades here, Dave.
Oh, God, that would have been brutal.
Yeah. I'm sure the table would have been a fan of it, though.
I'm sure. Although he's taking so long, it kind of drives you nuts.
Okay, not the blue. Catch.
And he's rebuying. Wow. Can I get this game? 6? Looks like 500 or 600 he's buying in for. He doesn't have any more.
Also, there was word, too, I read that GSN...
Nice shot of his wad there. We like to expose exactly what people are holding in them at all times.
GSN is inviting Jamie Gold onto High Stakes Season 3.
Oh, sweet.
And I'm
That's
sure
awesome.
that Jamie Gold will play if he plays at basically High Stakes No
He
Limit.
plays high stakes no limit already. Now he obviously has a bankroll to do it
Right,
as well.
right. Well, Boston's
And I would only
got pocket
assume that
jacks.
Bodog is sponsoring him
sure.
completely.
Yeah, sure.
He's got a sweet deal with Bodog now,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Well, Bodog's just been waiting for someone. I mean, it would be because they have the money, and I'm sure they definitely wanted somebody from their satellites to win, so they could pay them a very large amount to be their spokesperson.
Oh, please, it didn't mean anything though.
Yeah.
I don't even think that Jamie actually won his satellite on Bodog, by the way.
I don't know.
I mean,
thought he
that's what I
did.
heard. I mean,
Yeah, but Hashem didn't win a satellite on
of course
Poker
not.
Stars either. Ace 6-4 here with a couple of clubs.
open-ended for George. Apparently, the night before the final table,
Yeah.
there were negotiations going on between 3 or 4 of the groups, all negotiating for Jamie Gold. And
Well,
Bodog won.
I was going to say, which just goes to show you that Jamie Gold was obviously. Now we have
Well, they had kind of a tailored thing. Like if you finish in the top 4, you get this much. Top 3, this much. And if you win, you get even more.
Now, Asa here has bet. He got the best hand out. George is open-ended, and he check calls. There are 2 clubs out there. And this pot is quickly $400. Here we go to the turn. Turns at 10. Well, Asa picks up a heart draw.
Yeah. Asa wondering what would they do if I was in Norway?
Well, this is interesting. Well, Asa's going to move in. I was going to say, if Asa took a card there and he didn't improve on the river, and then George bet, what do you put George on? The way that he acted that
He
way.
moved all in? How big is this pot?
It was a $400 pot, and now he's moved in for another $700.
Okay.
So it's $1,200.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
That's enough.
Wow, nice. I got to tell you. He's really stuck his...
Well, again, some people use that to take a card, but other people use it as a big semi-bluff. But what I was saying about Jamie Gold is it just goes to show you that basically Bodog bid the most because everyone was going after Jamie Gold.
very impressive there by Asa. Sticks his Norwegians right in there.
Everybody was going after Jamie Gold because they all thought he probably had the best chance to win. So
Well,
obviously,
they're going over-
Bodog outbid everyone.
They're going after everybody, but
Yeah.
there's a tiered, the way I learned how it was worked, there's a tiered thing where if you get knocked out, 9th through 5th, you get this much money. If you get knocked out 4th and above, you get this much money. This is the deal, and so forth and so on. Jamie obviously got a very sweet deal considering that he finished in first.
Pocket
And he's
aces
such a
here for
dominating
Francois,
batsman.
and I think he just limped in, Dave. He did. So he's going to wait for somebody to raise here.
But who's going to raise?
Well, C2's got deuce 3 of diamonds. Might he come in for a raise? Or might he have toned it down now that he lost that buy-in? No, just a limp. And I don't think he's going to get it, Dave. He does not get the limp re-raise.
Oh, you got to hate your hand right now.
6-way action here, limped around. King 5-8. Well, it looks like Francois is safe.
But how does he know?
Well, Tim has got King Jack, and Francois checked it. Well, that's really surprising.
I don't mind that play, actually. You get to see what everybody else does before you can act. I might even check call here, and then if a safe card comes on turn, put out a little bet on the turn.
Well, he's going to check raise.
Wow, okay.
Well, that kind of goes against what you were saying. That's why I thought he was going to play in this manner, which I thought was dangerous, Dave.
Yeah, it's not a play I would make there. I probably would not check raise here.
Yeah.
Because if I get called, I get no information about it. If I just get called here, Does my opponent
Wow,
have
and
me
I'm
beat already?
shocked. Tim called. I'm actually shocked that he called because Francois hasn't played a hand like the whole night. And now he checks. And again, though, now Tim is going to check because, again, Tim has
Oh, wow, look at that turn.
correctly recognized sometimes when he doesn't have the best hand, but this one just gets checked down. You know, it's funny how Tim bet that guy off with tens about an hour left, but how can he possibly think that King Jack is good here when Francois checked him?
No, I think he clearly knew. Once Francois... Remember, look at the board, too. There's King 8-5. Unless Francois had 6-7, if he had 6-7, he made running 2 pair. You've got to realize that you're probably behind. I got to tell you, Francois played that hand a little more aggressive than I probably would have. If I'm going to limp in with that hand, which I normally won't, if I do, I'm probably going to check, call, and then lead out on the turn and keep the pot as small as possible.
Ace Jack of clubs here for Boston on the button. Well, limping in here by George Giorgio. Queen Deuce of Hearts from up front.
25.
So apparently you lost a bet to Barry Woods yesterday as well, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I did pay him, though.
What'd you guys bet?
The under-over on that free roll tournament, 350. Luckily, it wasn't like a bonus because it was almost half of that amount.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, 180, which is so pissed. I'm really pissed off that at least one of us didn't get some sort of seat.
I mean, they actually gave a seat
Nice.
to 1 out of 6 people.
Right.
It's pretty pathetic, actually.
He's my bitch.
Well, Boston here, it looks like he raised.
I knew I wasn't going to win a seat.
Did
honestly.
Boston raise or did
I was so
Kevin
tired.
raise? King Jack 8 Rainbow.
Well, Asa is open-ended here at 9-10.
I don't think he's pushed the pot over yet.
Again, I'm still a little cloudy as to if Kevin raised or if Boston raised. I think Kevin did raise pre-flop, and he's gonna bet 100 here. Now the problem here for Boston, though, is heads up. You might just call, but you've got 3 other people in there. Although, can you call here and get a weak king to fold? But it wasn't raised pre-flop.
You can call one time and see what happens. Once again, I probably would not raise here.
He's just out of there. Not gonna get
Now,
called.
Asa's actually behind here. He's still in the hand here, and he's going to call here, but it's almost 50-50 here. It's pretty much a coin flip.
Yep. Turns a 5, and now Kevin picks up the nut diamond draw.
Yeah.
And Kevin is going to continue to bet here. Now, the problem here for Asa, though, is there's no fold equity if you make a semi-bluff move against this guy, and now you pretty much just have to fold now, don't you? I mean,
I think so. I
Yeah.
mean, you've got to start looking at the hand and go, okay, well, I need a queen or a 7.
unless the guy has absolutely nothing where a 9 or a 10 is good. But we can see now, though, if one of those cards are diamonds, he loses.
Yeah, I mean, now he's a 3-1 dog.
Pot is about 500, 200 to call. He only has 200 left.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to be calling up your chips to somebody who could be bluffing
And he's
when
out.
you only have 10 high.
See a bluff now.
There's probably a better spot there.
Someone's all.
The river was a 3 of spades, and neither player would have improved, but Kevin's ace high would have
I
won.
looked at it.
Yeah, you did. Oh, you played the blind. Let me show me a 4. Show me a 4. I'll give you just mark the 4. 1 4.
Show it.
4. 1 4. 4, man. You
Got about 15 minutes left of tonight's show. Remember, Live at the Bike can catch us every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 Pacific time.
Yeah, I'm a
I'm
lucky
David
guy.
Tuckman here at Bart Hansen. And I will be here with you for the foreseeable future. Obviously, every once in a while, we'll slide Boston in here.
I'm serious. They don't know.
Ooh, and how about a couple of aces for
How they gonna
Asa?
know just because I live with me?
Makes it 50 to go.
That looks kind of cool, huh? Look at it, ace with the ASA.
Yeah.
I like that.
About that. That's me.
Come on.
I'm still not happy
Take
no
that
one
back.
emailed us about Norway. I'll have to go out and ask him personally. He considers Norway a part of Scandinavia.
Oh, I don't know if he's from Norway.
Oh, I thought you said he was.
I just said that. I have no
Oh,
idea.
all right.
I have no idea.
Pocket pair. Stop that.
I make stuff up that all. You
You
didn't know that?
Norwegian.
Come on.
I've been doing this show with you for 16 months.
He's English or American? Oh, he's just American. King 3 here with a couple of diamonds.
Trip kings for Chris.
Oh, Chris is not in the hand.
Okay, so nothing for Chris.
So Ace is in there with aces, but Kevin's in there with 6s.
Well, good for Kevin.
$100 bet and a quick call here. Quick call by Kevin. Wow, and ace fills up here. Now, do you get the guy? He's been bluffing all night. Do you check this, or do you put him on a king though? He's
I
going
bet
to continue
100.
to bet.
Bet one more 100.
Eventually.
See, I don't need to bet 200. I can bet 100. Milk the pot, milk the
He
pot.
bets 200 now.
Let's put a clock on Kevin right away.
Basketball game for you to kind of
Where's our...
You didn't know that? I've been doing this for 16 months.
No, I know you make up.
If I don't know
thought
anything-
Asa was Norwegian.
If I don't know anything about a player, I just make up stuff. I have no idea if he's Norwegian or not.
Well, Kevin, you wonder if he knows it's even his turn, Dave, because he's continuing to stack his chips.
I know they're busy, but we ordered it.
It's not nice.
You're a very blonde parent.
How much is that?
200.
All right. Now let me ask you. I gotta go pee. Can I go pee and then come back?
No, you're on time already.
I'm on time already. I gotta really go pee.
I gotta call you.
He's asking
You know what I'm thinking we could do here on this Live at the
go to
Bike
the
show?
bathroom and come back.
Kind of like a chess match.
Hey, look at this. George is out of there. He's had enough.
Right now, they're...
George is out of there.
Can you imagine like a chess game though? Bart, listen to me for a second. Keep it together just for like 10 more minutes. A chess game. You know where you actually pound your card, your thing? Because you have only a set amount of time for the entire match.
They might have the satellite. It's like the corner of the floor.
Yes, yes, I do. Like a
I'm
chess
thinking,
clock.
why don't we do that for Live the Bike?
How many seconds do I have time for time?
George is out of there.
Hello? God, I gotta so pee.
You got a muck, man. Go pee.
I
Your hand's already dead.
It's not dead
No,
yet.
it's...
4,
Oh,
3, 2.
Oh, you're on time.
10.
Just start a countdown, Donna. Just start a countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7,
We can't keep on waiting for you.
I gotta pee.
5,
Okay, make your hand and go pee.
3, 2,
Or you want me to give you a
All right,
cup?
it's dead
Now your
now.
hand
His hand is now dead.
It's dead. It doesn't matter what
Now
it
go
is.
Give you a
pee,
cup.
I
man.
so gotta pee.
Go.
I'm gonna move the button for you.
Thank you. All right.
But that way, I mean, you know what? I know I'm kind of saying it in jest, but in all honesty, I think that might actually solve some problems because once in a while somebody needs an exorbitant number of minutes to make a decision, but they're not normally, you know, like a time
You can do
waster.
it on the table.
But if you get somebody like C2, Kevin there, who takes time with every decision, well, we got to stop that. We got to nip it in the bud right away.
Pocket kings here for Chris. Seat 4. Now, Cat Math has said something interesting here. We'll get to it in a second, I'm afraid.
Nobody else heard me.
And he's going to take it down. Cat Math says, I'm almost certain Jamie Gold was wearing Bodog gear all along. Bodog paid his entry into the main event since he supposedly got celebrities
Sounds like a
into
good
them.
idea, actually.
So I've heard a couple of different things, and I'll find out from David Kelsey the exact truth, okay? Apparently, somebody at the other casino that played with him actually put him in, backed him. He actually had a backer. But apparently he,
Everybody's taking the...
almost right away, the second he was like one of the bigger chip leaders, remember, after day one, he had 90,000 chips. He had chips all the way. I mean, he never was short stacked, this guy.
We got to play out this...
Apparently he,
Let's do it. For the sake of the game.
apparently though, he was approached by Bodog right away to wear their stuff. So,
Come on.
Hold the pee.
remember this guy was a manager and an agent. He knows how to wheel and deal.
Yeah, now we'll play a
But I'm going to find out the exact truth, and when I do, I will get back to you guys.
Do you consider, you fancy yourself a wheeler and dealer, Tuckman?
I fancy myself one. I'm probably not a very good one.
Excuse me?
I'm Jewish, so I've got it in my blood, you know?
Wheeler, little this, little that.
I tell you, being Jewish just comes natural.
Take the 10, take the 70, take the 80. It's your pot, man.
Got a raise here by Asa.
You want to buy the button, Kevin?
How much?
$15. All right.
15.
What a discount.
15.
Apparently, we got about 5 or 7 minutes left of tonight's show.
We had that guy Mo, not the host of the show, but Maurice,
Right.
on. And he's a nice guy. My problem with him is he takes so long, too, with his decisions. And it just, you see less hands per hour when he's on the table.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind, you know what I mean? If a guy like Francois, once every 4 hours, takes 6 minutes of decision, a really tough one, okay, all the power to you, man. But if you're doing it every other hand, it just gets old. And you should see what happens to the table.
And Asa's going to raise here. He's going to make it 40 to go.
Get a new player in seat number 3.
We need to see Asa's cards. We know Kevin's got pocket 7s. And Asa has he's got Queen Jack of Hearts.
100.
And Kevin's going to make it 100 to go here. And Asa immediately calls.
Has Asa raised one time and Kevin not re-raised? I mean, it's almost uncanny.
Well, here we go, $200 to the flop. And there's the queen.
I got to tell you, I go to war with this one.
Check, check. Oh. Turns a 4. Check.
How about a bet now, inducing a bluff?
Check, check. And the river's a king. Well, now I really feel good.
Oh, if you
about
don't
Queen
bet
Jack.
here with King, Queen, Jack, you're a girl.
How about you? Yeah, how about you bet for value here? Bet's 100. That's an extra 100 he makes.
Yeah.
Some people would take exception to that analogy.
I know. I do it all the time. It's terrible. I got to tell you, though, we came up with a whole bunch of other ones, and I came to the conclusion that no matter what I say, I'm going to offend somebody.
That's 1 ace.
Just small black.
That's 1 ace. I need one more.
And our Norwegian friend takes it down again.
Email here from Steve Marzalowski says Bodog actually gave Jamie his seat for nothing. Jamie did some work for Bodog in the past and gave him the seat for free. Jamie wanted to give that seat to his friend, but the people at Bodog wanted Jamie to play because they heard he was a good poker player.
One more.
Okay.
Sir, one more.
I'm going to just confirm it with. I'm going to confirm it when I talk to Kelsey. But that definitely could be true. I have no doubt.
Well, the real question is the real thing I'd like to know is how much does he get for doing Bodog commercials? Does he get a flat fee plus free entry for the next year into every major
Oh, this guy's
tournament?
going to get millions. Francois got my classic card, apparently.
New player in seat 9.
I must have left it
Do
at
you
his
think
house last
he would
night.
get something like $20 million
Oops.
flat? $20 million flat plus like free entries into tournaments for the next 5 years?
I don't even want to
You
start
know,
guessing.
I
I have no
mean-
idea. He probably gets a few $1 million, plus tournaments, plus exposure, plus this,
Yeah.
plus that, you know?
Got a raise
I mean, it's
here
worth a
by
lot
seat
of money.
1.
I'll put it this way. He doesn't have to work against it in his life if he doesn't want to.
I don't think he did before, though. That was the thing. Now,
No, I mean, I don't think he has to play poker if he doesn't want to.
oh, of course. Now, Ace a race with King 10. Chris called with Queen Jack.
Well.
Ace Jack 4 here. See what how Chris is going to play this.
Thanks for the email, Steve. We appreciate that.
Looks like he's checked, and is he going to continue? No, he just check folds here. Well, it seems like Chris plays it pretty conservatively. How is Chris's stud high-low game?
Depends how many beers he's had.
He does like to drink while he plays,
He
right?
definitely does. He's a pretty good player, though. I mean, he definitely knows how to play. He knows what he's doing. He's a decent stud high-low player. I mean, he's a decent poker player across the board. I'm not sure how much experience he has in no-limit cash games, though. I will tell you that. But like a lot of players that have played other games, they're starting to recognize that the money, the real money, is in no-limit cash games.
Yeah, but it's also, I love those types of players, too, because you see the transition. Because I had a guy who I know is a very solid Omaha player start playing on Friday night in the 500 game. And I know he hasn't played all that much, and you just know that he is doing things or not doing things that you need to do to be a winning no-limit player.
Of course.
Some of the experience.
Well, and
Like
a lot
those
of times,
guys, most of those guys will go broke with an overpair.
of course, and if
You
you
know.
start thinking about what kind of mistakes they'll make, you can probably go back. You can probably trace it back to your own play. Go back to how you played, say, 14, 15, 16 months ago.
Kevin raised it with 6-4 suited here, and he's moved all in on a board of 10-10-6.
Well, he's good.
EB called with Jack 7 of diamonds. He is out of there.
I'll make it 310.
Now, we do have another player in who's check raised. We need to see his cards. We need to see seat 7's cards.
Okay.
Oh, I thought we were.
He's got ace 10. He check raises, and it looks like whatever left made the call there. Kevin made the call, or at
Well,
least that he
Kevin's
was all in
going
on the flop. Rivers is 7. Ace 10's going to win it.
And John is going to take it down, and Kevin goes broke again. Thank you for the gift. Most appreciated.
Yeah, John's just kind of been sitting back there.
Thank you,
Hey, John's played a real solid game tonight.
Chair, please.
And it looks like Kevin's going to rebuy again. I don't think he has that much money, though. And he's going to short buy here, $300.
Keep it 2,700, mister.
It's one shot that I never really want of anything of mine. I never really want a camera shot of my wad of cash.
Supposedly, ESPN pay-per-view like zoomed in on Jamie Gold's phone when he was calling his father at the end of it too. And
Really?
like, you can like pause it and see the number that he was calling.
That's great.
Yeah,
Go ESPN.
that was a network you were defending earlier.
I love ESPN. I'm not defending them. There's nothing to defend them of. They're great. I love ESPN. If it wasn't for ESPN, I would watch I wouldn't watch TV.
Right? Yeah, you're always watching ESPN.
Are you kidding me? I
Yeah.
love ESPN.
Do you watch ESPNU? 7-3 deuce here, all diamonds. A couple diamonds.
I don't know. I can't catch up with all of these. There's like 19 of them.
Turns a deuce. They're always playing poker, though, on one of the three of them.
Oh,
now.
yeah, sure. Not even a question.
Yeah. And Boston's going to come out and bet here with a pair of sevens.
I mean, ESPN has no affiliation whatsoever with Harris. They just happen to have bought the TV rights to the World Series of Poker, which unfortunately is in Harris' hands.
I think we get time for maybe one or two more hands here. This is the last hand of the night, Dave. Well, it's a pleasure to have you back.
Look at that. You put that little Freudian thing out there.
We'll be back tomorrow. We might have 1,000 game tomorrow. I got to put it out there because we got a $500 no limit with an optional rebuy game. There'll be a lot of action here tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. No question. Don't forget, tomorrow night is a special presentation for our special kind of guy.
Four-way action here.
3-3 deuce. And Francois flop trips. And he checks it.
Turns a 5.
And I don't think anybody has much of anything here. I'm trying to look through the cards.
And Francois checked it again. The river's a 10. And he checked it again.
Good 10.
Wow. Couldn't quite understand that one, Dave.
Yeah, you know, hey, no need to make money in that pot.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight.
Wow.
And we will be back tomorrow, so catch us then.
Yeah.
Go back, watch October 12th. I keep hammering it in there. Everyone watching this, of course, is an archived subscriber.
October 12th is
Jamie Gold episode with Mark.
I thought it was safe.
No, October 12th.
12th, okay.
October 12th, 2005. We'll be back here tomorrow with either 510 or 1020 no limit. For Dave Tuckman, everybody in the booth. Good night, everybody, from Live the Bike.